call to order the Monday, January 22nd meeting of the Corte Madera Parks and Recreation Commission. Please stand and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rebecca, will you please do roll call?
Commissioner Ellison.
Here.
Commissioner Kenneth.
Here.
Commissioner Budeman.
Here.
Commissioner Rose.
Here.
Vice Chair Charlie.
Here.
And Chair Miles.
Here.
Thank you.
Right. We have no one in the audience, but this is the time for public comments. Do we have any email public comments or raised hands?
I am checking Zoom and we do not have any raised hands for open time public comment. And we do not have, oh wait, we just received another one. We do not have any emailed public comments for open time.
All right. We will close public comment this time and move on to our presentations. So presentation 3A, annual programming report for the 2023 by Parks and Rec Director Tim Berry.
Happy New Year, everybody. I haven't seen my shared screen up here, so we can there we go. Perfect. So annually, we kind of come to you and kind of give a report on kind of what we've done for the year. I realize there's a lot in the agenda tonight, so I condensed it down a little bit, just in conscious of time and everything that's going on. There it goes. Thank you. All right, so I kind of broke this down into 5 categories. First, communication. Second, programs and classes. Third, special events. Fourth, kind of the talented organizations we support and kind of projects going forward in 2024. First up, our communication. Obviously, we have found different multiple ways to get the word out. We have found that our activity guide and our school menus are essential. Parents having that in hand before registration starts is huge. We've really focused the last half of 2023 and 2024 to make sure parents have enough time to look at the classes before it opens. We kind of moved our timeline up so it's in your hands. You can kind of see what you want to program for, what you want to pick, so it makes the most sense. Social media, unfortunately, people live by it. That's why we kind of started with our new Instagram account this year to basically see what's going on, to send out posts, to send out updates, and people are very responsive to how quickly they get that. And the MailChimp emails or the mass emails out going to everybody. And then constantly with CPRES, which is the California Park and Rec Society, we work with organizations to figure out what's the best new way to get to people. A lot of towns have gone away, and say it's gone away from the paper brochure, but people still like to have it in their hand. We found that the middle slide of that summer camp menu was probably the most successful last summer because you could open it up and see everything for summer. You could easily see what was each week, what's offered, what wasn't, and it was very easy for people to kind of go through. We were doing that again for 2024 and actually is already out for all the summer camps that are happening in 2024. Youth program classes. Our youth programs and classes are fun, safe, engaging, and affordable. Right now, we offer our school enrichment at both Cove and Neil Cummings. We offer everything through the Corte Madera Children's Center, which is very popular on the Neil Cummings campus. Corte Madera Football Club is one of our most popular activities, and then youth classes at both the Dance Studio, Town Park, and the Community Center. And you've got a list of photos there of the year, some activities from summer camp to skateboarding to soccer, to art, to language, and all the great classes and programs that we offer each year. Adult program classes. Our adult programs serve the community by providing a place to community to engage with community members through a variety of activities. To list some of the many that we offer: fitness classes, tennis, pickleball, adult softball, bridge, bingo, yoga, water polo, and our Invitational, which is happens every year, which is really for a chance for our adult art artists to display their work. And it is well attended every year, each fall. One of our largest programs, our adult development and disabilities program, our RECING program. We are one of the few, if not the only one in Marin County to offer this much of a robust program for this community. There are third Friday dances, there's basketball night for winners, there's party night and sports night special events. This program has grown every year. There's definitely a great niche we provide for this community, and it's a great partnership with both the schools, As you see in the basketball field on the right, with police departments there cheering on and playing basketball, and an opportunity for a lot of high school students to get volunteer hours working with this population and giving back to the community on a regular basis. Events. I didn't realize how long this list was till I started listing it out. We're back full events. Twin City Event Hunt, Friday Family Movies, Big Band Dances, Painted Bins Project, Pumpkin Carving Night, Family Halloween Dance, Community Friend Day, Giving Tree, One Warm Coat, Letters to Santa, Gingerbread House, and Corner Art Invitational. Our building provides itself as a good opportunity to hold these large scale events, and every year this has grown. Every time more and more people enjoy these events. And I think it really brings the town together, and it's really a community that everybody looks forward to. A lot of these events are second year and the numbers have grown. Pumpkin carving is maxed out. Gingerbread House is maxed out. All these things that people really enjoy doing with large scale community events that will continue to program in 2024. Events in the Department of Sports, but may not actually be running. 4th of July, obviously a huge event in town that we take a large part in, providing activities and events for kids to do at 4th of July, turkey trot on Thanksgiving morning. The community picnic was a new event this year, summer concert series helping the community foundation with that planning and the coordination of Menke Park. Volunteer recognition year was put on the Lions Club, Oktoberfest, which was back this year, town band conference, and the Corte Madera Lions Club comedy show. We really play a vital role in helping these activities succeed. A lot of times they may need help with setup, or they need games or activities. So we work very closely with the groups in the next slide to basically put on these events so that the community at large benefits and everybody really does enjoy these events. Towns and organizations we support, obviously there's a long list of people who make great impacts to the town. Corte Madera Lions Club, Women's Improvement Club, Corte Madera Community Foundation, Corte Madera Beautification Committee, Corte Madera Town Band, Larkspur Mothers Club, Larkspur Mothers Club, Friends of Corte Madera Library, Age Friendly, and neighborhood response groups. These would be from opening the building to have a neighborhood response group meeting, to helping the Lions Club with an event, helping the beautification committee with some type of activity going on, or helping Women's Club or Lions Club with help set up, tear down large events. Really, we can't succeed without support from them, and they really need us to support. So it's really been a goal over the last probably year of my being here, really building these relationships up with these groups to figure out how can we support the organizations better and how they can support us, because they are giving directly back to the community on a regular basis with all their events or all their activities. Projects coming up that we did for the year, obviously Parks and Rec Master Plan was a heavy lift over 2 years, and again, thank you for all your support and help. Obviously, it's a great document to have going forward. Town Park Restroom Project will hopefully start in 2024 and be done before summer to get out there in the town park. They've done a great job enhancing field maintenance program. Public Works has really stepped up to really improve the soccer field, so they are in a better shape. They are year round for both cross play, soccer play, and rugby play, and for the people in the community. Skylab skate park renovation obviously is still in progress, but started that whole process last year. Got some great community input, and going forward to get it designed and built this year. And then recently we actually installed a new equipment in the community center, which is a brand new dishwasher. So we haven't learned how to use it yet. It's got really fancy, but we will learn to use it. It is definitely an asset. We were able to do some sinks around and construction to help with Public Works. Have a dishwasher, which will help us with zero waste marine going forward using reusable cups and everything else. But it's definitely a cool tool that we need to make a little YouTube video or show somebody use it, because it's there's a lot of buttons. I don't want to screw it up. Looking at 2024, obviously priorities for us: community building, continue with the events, including collaboration, community marketing. Keep doing what we're doing. We get feedback every day. This is what people enjoy, is what people really enjoy about how Corte Madera partner. Keep doing it. Program and services, obviously fields are a hot topic. Improve field maintenance strategies. Keep that up. Keep that so that it stays where it needs to be going forward. For the grass to be green and be playable. There's improve form and permits and update policy and procedures. Something I think we're always trying to improve when we do things. One of the things that is we're going to new registration software probably in the fall, because ours currently got bought out. So we're going to something new that's a little more user friendly, and some more back end stuff to help us with some aspects of scholarships, facility rentals, and general sketching, which is great. And then planning going forward, obviously Skylab Park redesign coming up this year, Town Park Restroom this spring, and then the master plan priority projects, which we'll talk about later, of how we're going to elevate those activities to the council for funding for all the stuff of the master plan. And that is all I have. I know it's a lot. I did it all. I was like, I'm excited, exhausted at the same time. So it really, you don't until you look at it all, like, kind of like this one, big calendar, you don't realize how many things are going on. And earlier this year, we bought a giant wall calendar. And it's really, really full, which is great, and it keeps people active and busy. But it is a lot of events and it's a lot of programs, and we are thankful that we're able to do the community, so.
Thank you, Tim. Any commissioner questions before we open public comment?
I have some. Just out of curiosity first of all, like, awesome to kind of see the recap of the year. For your communication, I'm just kind of curious, like, what is the reach of your brochure thing that gets mailed, and then what is also the reach of your Instagram account?
So Instagram is fairly new. We probably only had it about 3 months, so we just went to Instagram. We were just at Facebook and mail. Instagram has been new. I don't know how many followers we have exactly right now. I can get back to you. I'm not sure. The brochure goes to anybody in Corte Madera, Larkspur. And then if somebody emails say, hey, I live in so-and-so, will you mail one? Absolutely, we'll drop it mail to them. But we literally mailed everyone, and then it's both available at town hall, it's at the library, and all the schools have copies in case people come and say, hey, I have a question about this. Here it is.
And then my other question, just in terms of, it sounds like there's so many things going on, and then sort of towards the end of the year, you kind of look at utilization of all the different programs you have running. Are there some that are like so over, like we have so much more demand than there is capacity? So do you guys end up reshuffling around budget for programs like as you look at how the year ended?
We haven't had to. We're pretty much, if you look at it, we're a lot of summer, fall loaded. Spring's a little hard because obviously weather's not as great to do outdoor activities. But we pretty much are more concerned about, I would say, like perhaps it's like when you get to the end of the year, it's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I think that staff realize how important the activity is, and maybe it's stressful when you do it. When you get there, you see so many people happy with gingerbread house or pumpkin cart or whatever else. They realize it was well worth the time and effort. So we were really good about budgeting that we have enough to get it through the year.
So there aren't some where you're like, nobody came to this, we're gonna deprioritize it and put more into this event, do 2 of them.
No, I mean, everything we've tried, people have pretty much shown up.
So everybody comes out.
I think everybody, I mean, when I joined this town about 3 years ago, I think we had an outdoor family dance. I was shocked that people just Thursday night showed up and were there. So I mean, we haven't had any of those where like, hey, it's been really low enrollment. Even like our big band dance on Wednesday, we still bring 25 to 30 people who are constants who are every Wednesday to dance once a month. Because they know it's there, it's part of the routine, so. But as of now, we haven't had any large ones where we've had like 0 enrollment. It's all been stuff which been really popular and well practiced.
Thank you. I'm just curious how you guys look at that year over year.
And then do we have any public comment, Rebecca, on raised hands or email?
We do not have any emailed public comments for this presentation item, and I'm checking to see if we have any raised hands. Oh, thank you. We do not have any raised hands.
All right, and so we now have time for the commission to ask any further questions or have discussion. Any more thoughts on this presentation? I would just say, Tim, I know that we haven't always worked super well with all of our community groups, and it's amazing to see that happening. Because that's the way we amplify. We don't have a ton of people working in Parks and Rec, so being able to leverage all those groups to really make things kind of cohesive and feel like one community is incredible. So thank you for spending the time to build those relationships. All right, moving on to the yes, Rebecca.
Thank you, Chair Miles. I did receive an email from an attendee who was unable to raise her hand during open time, and so I'm hoping we can reopen it.
Yes, so this time we'll reopen for public comment.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, Patty Stolier, I'm going to unmute you now. What's wrong?
Thank you, and thank you for making way for whatever craziness my iPad is doing tonight. I just wanted to say first, thank you to Tim and the commission, because I remember a while ago you said you wanted to explore and identify what seniors want and to try to dig deeper and find out. And I wanted to know how that appears to be going and what we're seeing in the focus groups that we've been doing for Age Friendly is the very strong desire for a place to gather. So I want to know if you're making progress with that. And I know that little towns like Healdsburg and Cloverdale have senior centers, and we're certainly as good as they are. So I wanted to see what could happen in terms of having a place to gather. And I don't think it's on your master plan priority list. So I just wanted to see what's happening with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Rebecca, before we close comment, any more late additions?
I'm not seeing any other hands raised for open time.
So at this time, we will close public comment and go to the consent calendar. These are items that are routine or have been previously discussed and do not require any further discussion. Any member of the public is welcome to make a comment or one item for the consent calendar for further discussion. We'll start by asking if anyone from the commission would like to pull anything from our consent calendar for discussion. Excellent. Is there anybody in the? Yes.
Hi. This is unorthodox, but thank you, Chair Milo. The minutes were not attached to the packet. And when we realized that today, it was a bit too late in the day to get that out there to the commission and to the public and have them actually be reviewed before being adopted tonight. So we are requesting to pull them from the consent calendar and push them to the next meeting. And then at the next meeting, you will have the minutes from the December 4th meeting and the minutes from this meeting.
Excellent. And by way of process, do we need to vote on that? No? To move the consent calendar, to move it on?
No, it's just a direction, but we can. It's staff's request.
Okay.
So if you want to take a motion.
We don't know if we need to. If we don't need to, we don't need to. Do we need to take any public comment related to pulling the consent calendar?
No, but we can always take public comment.
Okay.
If there's any public comment for the consent calendar. And the minutes, and I'm not seeing any raised hands, and we can't receive any.
So we will remove the minutes and come back to those next time. We will not take a vote, which takes us to our business items. All right, Tim, scholarship.
So tonight we're going to review kind of the 2023 scholarship program with some recommendations. Basically, what we're looking for tonight is basically some feedback on proposed changes. This will be item we discussed at the 2024 work plan, which will be developed strategic planning goal setting next week with town council. A little history. When I first joined the department, we didn't have a formal scholarship program. We kind of were on all over the board, kind of drove me a little crazy. Back in September of 2022, we kind of presented kind of a draft plan. I did the research on what other cities did and the towns and said, hey, here's what kind of the surrounding cities do. Let's develop a plan. Let's come back a year and see what it looks like. Went to council for approval, and then basically the plan and the scholarship program went into effect. The goal has always been to offer scholarships to low-income families and adults for individuals participating in our program. We have seen a need more and more with the development program that people actually know how to fill it out. They have questions, and there's a process that's there. Basically, throughout the year, in 2020, we had about 80 applications total for everything from Corte Madera to exploration classes, to Corte FC, to youth and senior classes. All applications have been from Corte Madera for residents or students except for comp soccer. So pretty much our focus has been that. So far, the department's over to award over $35,000 to youth and adults in the calendar year 2023. And I want to explain a little bit. So in that little chart there, the first one is basically the 31 students that just came to us and said, hey, these students really need after care program during summer school. Can you scholarship these students? That's what that first bulk number is of those 31 students. Then kind of listed down in order, Camp Corte Madera, 15, childcare, 14, total scholarships awarded, 6 immersion classes, 6 for youth classes, 6 for competitive soccer, 1 for rec soccer, and 1 for senior classes. These scholarships are all funded by Park and Recreation budget, and then the donations from the Community Foundation, the Lions Club, the Women's Club, Beautification Club. And when I first started, the scholarship program was just for summer. So basically, the department went out to these organizations, said, hey, we have kids who need a summer camp program. Can you fund scholarships? That's where it kind of ended and it lived. I didn't talk about the full year, it was just those activities. We at this point on January 1 ran out of money for this year. We allocated all of our money. I've already worked with the finance department to allocate an additional $15,000 to get us through the rest of this fiscal year, looking at what we would expect to get for some soccer, childcare, summer camps and immersion classes to get us through that. So we were gonna allocate that much money to get us through the rest of 23-24, and then when we do our budget cycle, look at a total picture of what to ask for in the 24-25 budget. This is the last year we are going to coordinate with this coordinator electric school district for summer program. They are pretty much out of funding. And they kind of told us, hey, this is it. We were able to do it for a couple years and we're pretty much out. So again, we're going to work with them to fund for those students to be able to come down for school. And again, those district has said, look, if you didn't have this program, these kids would come to the morning care. These kids are all kids who have fallen behind in school and need that extra help to catch up for next school year. You're providing this essential service to come for those 3 weeks to a kid coordinator, so they basically are still in the program. And we actually see a lot of those kids who will stay with us a couple weeks after because they love it so much. And we're able to cover some of those kids to stay in scholarships to go on field trips or go to the pool or do activities. So they really enjoy staying with the program. Discussion night, staff has reviewed the scholarship program the past year and is proposing the following changes to the permanent program. They're based in 3 categories: 1 program requirements, 2 allocations fund, and 3 scholarship requests. The main program and all of our requests have been about 98% Corte Madera Larkspur residents or school district people. We don't have very many outside. The very small percent is mostly coming from competitive soccer. And since this program started, the Corte Madera Football Club has started up their scholarship foundation to fund some of these. So our recommendation this year is to change it to literally change the priority just Corte Madera Larkspur residents or Corte Madera Larkspur district students only for a program requirement. Second one, we looked at, how much money people are allocated. I think when we looked at the $300 per person, $600 per family, we looked at all of our classes and was like, okay, it makes sense. Looking at it a year now, it wasn't enough. We need to raise that fee. Realizing that enrichment class may be $250. We need summer camp for a week, maybe more than that. So the proposal for us right now is up to $500 per person and $1,000 per family. And to raise the adults to $200 per calendar year in the line of what we kind of looked at of all of the requests we've got so far in the calendar 2020-23. Last request is going to change a little bit about for soccer, just because we get so many soccer requests, and soccer is like 3 months ahead of when it actually happens. So we're going to keep the request to keep the May and August deadline, but basically perhaps school for soccer people to request technically in the summertime for a fall class. It's just the communications. Hey, if you need a soccer scholarship, comp, rec, whatever it is, submit it May 1st so we can basically let you know how much money you have to put towards a soccer scholarship when you commit to a team, comp, rec, whatever it is. So they understand, hey, the foundation can provide this much, the town provide this much, I still need to come up with this much money. And if they can't, we say, okay, can you work a payment plan or something else to go forward, what it is. One thing we're looking forward to is on our new registration system that once somebody's allocated a scholarship, they get a credit in their account. Right now it's a tracking nightmare is the best way to say it. I'm running Excel sheets because our current system doesn't track how people have it. So basically, once you're awarded a scholarship, I can say, look, your family gets $500, it's a credit on your account. Use it whenever you need to, just got to be used before the fiscal year is up. But literally it's like a discount code or something you would check out with on when you purchase something. So I think it gives families a little more understanding to say, hey, I applied in May or I applied in August. I know I have this much money, I can plan accordingly. Or if I need to say, hey, I know December is a really tight month or January month, I know I have that in there, I don't have to worry about it. Really no fiscal impact besides of what it's already requested in the Park and Rec funds. And then again, continue to ask the foundation and groups for donations for both the year-round stuff and for summer for Camp Park there.
Yes, I have in relation to, I think I love seeing the allocation of funds and the 500 per person. Knowing what we know now, are there youth in need who this will not meet their needs from a childcare specifically perspective? Do we need another tier of like, this is what we do unless there are some sort of other extenuating circumstances? I'm worried that there are kids that this will still not be enough for, that we need to address.
So I think it's twofold. I think one, it is, there are some kids who are still going to be in need. I think we've done a really good job this year of reaching out to the Child Care Council to say, hey, there's some kids who meet our requirements. They probably meet your requirements. Help them fill up paperwork. Here's that contact. And so you get some more funding. We probably had probably 7 or 8 students who we gave that avenue, and they were able to get funding, so they were still in our program. I think the challenge is with with a program like childcare where someone needs 5 days a week from our school, it does get very expensive very quickly because you need full care. I don't think the numbers here will pay for it fully. I think it's okay if you reward $1,000, you can at least have that twice a year. And then figure out, hey, maybe it's a plan or extended circumstance of people who really need the care. I think the people who take the time to fill out paperwork is the ones we're gonna work with, say, hey, we'll figure something out, we'll figure out a payment plan or something else, a new nice feature of the new system that does that. So I just think that there are definitely people are gonna always be in need. I think this makes the most sense. Other cities tend to look at like, maybe you rank people and then when you're out of money, you're out of money, but it's like, I think we want to give as much as we can to spread out people who are in need, who meet those requirements, not just the top 2 or 3, and then you get all the stuff.
And if we were to have treated this past year at 500 and 1,000, how much more would we have needed in the scholarship fund budget line item?
So we originally had 10,000 in the park and rec budget line item. There was 12,000, 13,000 in the community group donation fund. So I think it depends if the large number of students are out, and you're looking at about 20 to 25.
So we need to cover the 500.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, if we don't get any more application, I mean, I think that now it's a big job publishing, people are filling it out. And I think it's a lot of times it's, filling out saying, okay, what exactly are you needing? So I need like, when I get myself, I want art, I'm like, well, can you tell me like which art class and that kind of stuff? So it's more kind of a filtering system of like, what do you need? And then just timing wise that some of those classes fill up so quickly, you want to be able to give them information, say, hey, you're in, here's your allocation. Right now, the only way they can apply scholarships, they have to call us. We do it manually as registered over the phone, they can't do it.
Got it.
It's a drawback of the system. It has to all be done manually.
Can I ask a question regarding the soccer? I just want to make sure I understand that. If it's the applicants who are not Corte Madera Larkspur residents will be directed to apply to the Corte Madera Football Club scholarship directly. The other Corte Madera Larkspur residents who are applying for soccer scholarship will go through the main
Correct.
avenue.
Correct. And then Corte Madera Larkspur, the foundation and myself work very closely because it's a very tight window of like tryouts are here and we start sending out offer letters. I want to make sure family says, hey, I think it's a 24, $40 window. You got to decide if you want it. It's like, hey, your fee is $1,000 or $1,500, whatever it is. The foundation give you 500, we can give you 500, or we need 1,000. How does that figure out so you can make it a realistic commitment to say, yes, I can afford to pay the rest, or hey, maybe this is what I want to.
And is the idea that the scholarship allocation will be parallel between the two organizations, or one will offer more than the other?
I think it'll be parallel depending what the foundation wants to define how much money they've raised. They could allocate more, but right now for us, it's what the plan is that, hey, we're able to do this. The foundation can, fill out their application for them, which is a separate application. And they can get back to how much they can apply, but it's kind of a together email saying, here's the current package. Do you want to play soccer? And then enough time to say, make an educated decision. So
And the scholarship deadline, the May deadline is around the time of soccer registration, correct?
Yeah, pretty much it would be enough time for people to start doing trials to know. I mean, do like May 1st, the LND, May 2nd, I'd sit down with the foundation, say, okay, here are the people who've asked for scholarships. And if you're gonna forward how much we need so we can have a, same version and same language to get to those people.
Thank you.
And did you already say this? How many, how many applications do you get and what percentage of those people actually get a scholarship?
So I would say, I added up, you're talking 30, probably almost, they gave out 80 total scholarships this year. I would say probably 6 or 7 didn't get a scholarship because I was out of money until the mid-year budget review. But now that I've allocated more money, I can allocate more scholarships the rest of the year. So I think we had a huge explosion of people who were asking and we had only budgeted so much money and then realized, okay, this is not enough. And then we're basically starting to give more allocation in the second half of the year. So probably, I would say 7 or 8 people weren't able to get a scholarship because we ran out of funds until the mid-year budget was able to adjust and now we have more funds to cover it. But going forward, we'll budget that so we know, okay, here's a tip. I mean, we really hadn't a typical year data to look how much money or how many requests we'd actually gotten. We only really think summer. So our goal is basically to say, if you're a Corte Madera Larkspur resident, we should give you some type of scholarship or some type of payment plan so you can take those classes.
You said 7 or 8.
Yeah, that didn't get scholarship, yeah.
Okay, so I guess what would the total pie?
Well, it depends what they're asking. So a scholarship depends if you're $300 for right now for an individual or 600 for a family. So if a family asked for more money and didn't get it, it could be a different amount. So like if you have 2 kids and you want to see what $600 total, or you just have one and $300. So it depends on, I'd have to look at the ones we deny, but I would say probably $2,000 to $3,000 probably total if people that we deny that we didn't have any funds left.
I'm just trying to get a
Yeah.
sense for like, if I applied for a scholarship,
Right.
what's the likelihood I'm gonna
Right.
get something?
I think if you meet the deadline, I think you're likely to get something. The problem is the extenuating circumstance of people who either just moved into town or don't know about things afterwards. Try to find a way to give them something is a challenge. In a lot of cities, it's hard. Hey, sorry you didn't get in. We're not even going to talk to you. I think we want to be a little more flexible to have some people who we really need to care for the class. I think we should work with them to figure out a way to make it work.
Any more questions before we open public comment? There'll be time for discussion after.
So this, the fact that the school district has communicated that, it's the last year of the program.
Okay.
And is the idea that we're hoping to step in and fill that? Because I see here it says there's opportunities to collaborate, but if they're saying it's stopped, is the collaboration that we just take over? What does that look like?
Well, I think with those students who might want to take our program for the full summer instead of 3 weeks they were there, obviously reaching out to them. Now they may have transportation issues or something else issues, but right now, they can't do right now they're saying they can't do the program. But it would be the opportunity to say, hey, you were in our program before, you would come out the summer. Do you want to come during the school year? During the summer, even though you're not in summer school. But to reach out to those students who were in our program, yes. And a lot of those same students are kids that we have during the school year in childcare. So we know probably 95% of the students already because they're in our program.
So we wouldn't be filling in the summer school part, but we
Correct.
would be filling in the child.
The childcare, right? We wouldn't be it's very much educational based and structure based to get them up to the next level.
So the district is still doing the 3 week summer school program.
No.
They're not doing.
No, they're out of funding for, at least the last time I talked to them, they were not gonna have the funding to hire the teachers and do the summer school program. Now, that may change, but that's at least what they communicated with us so far.
Sorry.
All right, any proposed questions at this time and open for public comment?
Okay, let me check, see if we have any raised hands. And while I'm waiting to see if we have any raised hands for the scholarship item, we did receive an email to public comment from Glenda Corning, who says, hello, I'm currently out of the country, so this will be brief. I believe that we should offer scholarships or have a sliding scale fee for after-school care for our local kids. Our town promotes the well-being of its citizens in many ways, and this is another important one. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. Sincerely, Glenda Corning. Let me check the email to public comment. See if that one came to my inbox. We didn't receive any additional email to public comments. And I'm not seeing any raised hands from online participants and no raised hands from audience.
Okay,
Well, I, as a member of the public, have a comment. I think I'm just,
not about summer school.
yes. I'm awash with horror at the idea that the summer school program would be canceled for lack of funding, and I find it disgraceful. That's what I have to say.
So I don't know if there is an opportunity for us to have tutors that come in at some point for summer school. And for part of that time, if there is even a little bit of that, that may be an opportunity over time for us to have people on staff, literacy folks and math folks. Potentially. Was it Glenda who made the comment about, I know that Tim, you're aware of, at least 1 or 2 students who need more care than this $500 is gonna cover. So I do feel like we should have some mechanism for handling that, whether it's coming through whether it comes through the schools and through the teachers, but we know they're gonna be, there are gonna be extenuating circumstances. So what does that look like? From a size of population or size of dollars, we would need to make sure we had. based on what we know now, would be my other, how do we get ahead of that and have a way of managing?
I mean, the only real way is to see what people have requested or enrolled in the previous year and kind of project and try to do our best educated guess. I mean, let's say we have someone who we know was always up for scholarship and they've been a 5-day-a-week childcare person. So if we took every day out, how much of that total would be for the end of the year? I'd have to look, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely getting more than that. I mean, we're just pulling up the rates today. So currently so for after school per day from 2:50 to 6 p.m. is $27 a day. If you take 27 down to every school day, you're looking at what that one child is gonna need for it to be fully scholarship with you.
Yeah.
That's the question is like, if we're trying to, get everybody some of the scholarship or just those people who really need it, how do you balance?
How do we do both?
Yeah,
When you mentioned the Marin Child Care
Childcare.
Council, is that a funding organization that provides additional funding? So therefore
Yes.
those kids were in collaboration provided. more?
correct. Yeah, a lot of times.
If you're already in process with a caseworker for social welfare assistance, or if you're in their there's a program that if you're in those programs, you're automatically tracked to someone who will help you receive that funding.
That's great.
And then if you're not, they have an application program to see about getting your family into that program,
That's great.
but it's very much need-based.
So the sense is that might fill the gap. because
But it's for
we
the
as a foundation can't do that
Right.
for everybody.
So what we have discussed is being able to fund a buffer between getting them into that system and the sometimes months it can take to get them approved for that system. But once you're approved, you're in. And then it's available.
That's great.
I should also add that this will also be a topic that will be on the agenda for discussion with the town council at their annual strategic planning workshop next week, where all the department heads talk about the issues that they want to see on their work plan for the coming year, and the council shares their priorities for the coming year. So Tim will be able to get some more direction on expanding the program further.
I think the other thing I've experienced in my own understanding of scholarships is the additional need and support that a lot of applicants need just to navigate the tools and the systems and the technology. And I don't know if you also need additional staff to support you to do that, whether that's language translations or just being able to kind of handhold people through the process. And if that's worth adding in to this as we go back to council, thinking about resource needs to just support people moving through the process.
I definitely think the first time people fill the application, there's definitely some handling process helpful, either a language barrier to understand how the program works. I think once they get it, they're kind of on my regular discussion. I get the application on a regular basis.
Okay.
I think it's just, we work really close with the school to say, either the ESL program is here to say, we have this opportunity, just have them fill it out, send it to Tim and he will get it all done. So I think there are a great connection on campus.
Okay.
And a lot of those kids who are in that summer school program know us from coming into the school year and know that they reach out and ask that stuff. So
Okay.
it's just building those relationships, those kids, those families, making that connection.
Okay.
So Tim, I feel like the summer school program maybe had some sort of component of providing lunch for these kids.
They did have a free lunch program that is at least gonna be this year that they did get a lunch program, yes.
And is there any thought on trying to do something like that for these kids who are food insecure and now, maybe don't have a lunch option if they're at summer playground, on scholarship?
We could build it in the budget. We haven't done it in the past. We usually too many food allergies, but normally people would bring their stuff and then we always have a backup just in case, but if we have our regular people, we know that are gonna have the food insecurities to have something as a backup. We have done that in the past.
I think that would be a really good thing to look into. Yeah.
Maybe it's something the school district can put you in touch with lunch master.
Yeah, that would be good to look into.
Any more discussion on scholarships before we move to the next item? Right, do we need to vote? No.
It's a direction to staff and evaluating proposed recommended changes, but we could take a vote. Just to, show support for the program and the direction that you provided to staff. It's good
Right,
for the record.
can we have a motion, please?
The motion is to provide direction in line with.
Provide direction and support the proposed recommended changes to the scholarship program and the direction provided to staff.
Yeah, so moved.
We have a second. A second. Rebecca, can you call a vote, please?
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Koenig,
Yes.
Commissioner Blooderman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rose,
Yes.
Vice Chair Charlie,
Yes.
Chair Murray.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
All right, 5B, projects to be elevated to the town council for consideration of inclusion in the 2024 work plan.
So back at a very busy December 4th meeting, we kind of reviewed the process of which potential project would be elevated to town council. Kind of outlined a general sequence of reviews and processes, basically filter out what we think are top priorities that the commission wants council to discuss and implement on a yearly basis. These ideas that have come out of this meeting will be taken to the town council and the manager team at the strategic planning goal setting workshop next week. And then kind of discussed with all of the council, all of the public works and finance, to figure out what of these things we can actually accomplish. And how we want to include for the 2024 work plan. Just to summarize, I know the master plan was a big document we've all kind of reviewed. Basically that section on the planning information scenarios that the action plan that consultants kind of pulled out. Basically had several categories. One, kind of the near term, those first priority projects eventually achievable in the next 5 years. They will immediately address these prioritization criteria developed during the town-wide action plan process. Second was kind of a medium term, the second priority projects potentially achievable in the next 10 to 5 years. Benefit the community, however, the ability to list and support the existing parks and rec system is slightly less than the near term projects. And finally, long term, kind of these third party kind of bigger projects that may take 10 or more years, to produce. Basically, we're asking tonight to have a discussion with all the commission, say, we would like to identify one or two of each category to elevate to the next level to council and to have that discussion with the strategic planning with the near term, midterm and long term discussion. Part of it is that this is obviously a work in progress, something we haven't done before, but kind of going to go through and figure out how it works. One of the projects that will be coming back to in February is the Community Foundation has already approached us about a Mickey Park kind of revision and replan of what they've kind of decided. Not so much of the kind of the traffic flow and the parking, just more of the landscaping design of how to make it more accessible and everything. So that'll come back to you in February. So our recommendation is probably in some capacity recommend that on to council for discussion, but they will give a full presentation at the February commission meeting on kind of their plans and have a community partnership will happen with some fundraising both from the foundation and then with the town support kind of their plan and their kind of is drawing kind of looked at of changing the Mickey Park landscape, but not the actual hardscape of the park near the property for everything else. So basically looking at an open discussion and ask any questions, but basically attached is the planning and implementation scenario action plan with all of the different categories and looking kind of for some direction and what to pass up to the next level. Great.
No, it was, since this is the first year that we are working with this master plan, it was suggested that the commission consider elevating one or two items from each category that you felt strongly about attempting to accomplish in the next year or several fiscal years, knowing that if ultimately a larger long-term project is selected, it's basically the amount of projects that we can slot in from year to year is determined by the funding that council ultimately appropriates, and also multi-year projects will require multiple years of funding too, which could take the place of several smaller, shorter term projects. But for the point of bringing this back to council next week for discussion and seeing what aligns with their own priorities, they're going to look to the various boards and commissions to see where their priorities are and what they're thinking, and then make an ultimate decision on what to slot into the 5-year plan, the next fiscal year budget, et cetera. So if one or two per category would be a good start. If you wanted to focus more on shorter term ones and not elevate a longer term one, that's okay too. We're just really starting the discussion and whatever the commission is interested in and comfortable with.
So can you talk a little bit about this chart? Is this like what you're proposing for this year for?
That is
Like-
just what the consultants came together to produce a dollar figure attached to that. So if looking at Lincoln Park for town park, for example, for near term or ongoing was the 1.3 million, that's just the number they provided. And then it was medium, long, and S funding also. Those are just numbers that they came when they totaled up everything that was town park. Those are
Okay,
just numbers that they produced when they did the original action plan.
and then how accurate do we think these estimates are that are listed with each of the projects? Are those kind of a rough estimate or are they pretty, do we think realistic?
What do you say?
I would say rough, but in the ballpark.
Okay.
I think they were conservative estimates at the time.
And you have a current like allotted budget for us for near-term projects, or is it really we decide what we prioritize when we go to town council and say, this is what we'd like to put forward?
Yeah, so we have the money allocated for this fiscal year, but for next year, it's kind of what you guys develop out of this and then figure out, you know, if we chase them, it's gonna take maybe 2 years of planning, 2 years of budgeting, how that gets allowed in the budget, and then what you guys kind of see as the top priorities.
No. Yes, I see that there's a comment in here for near term for the additional bathroom. Wasn't that budgeted, wasn't that already
Is that for another addition?
No,
earmarked?
that one should come out. That was just, I think that was something that's already been done. So that can be taken out. That was literally when they did the master plan
Okay.
processing.
Because that's already earmarked, right?
Correct. That's already earmarked and correct.
And approved.
That's not a third. Yeah.
And then the ones that are zero, is that, or blank for a total cost, is that? We really anticipate that it will not cost anything?
I think it was because it encompassed multiple possibilities and they didn't know what possibilities, like consider opportunities to activate Town Park Plaza to encourage community gathering. That's very nebulous. That would be more of a, I want to do that and I propose a specific project, but it doesn't have a identity and it doesn't have a number figure attached to it because it could be any of a number of things.
Got it. And there's some that are more like repair asphalt that is zero. Is that because it's already budgeted within public works or?
If it's under
Just as
addresses
needed, too.
deficiencies, it's something that staff will prioritize internally.
So do we need to
So the
consider?
commission is focusing on the proposed amenities as opposed to. the
Okay, that's
addressed
helpful.
deficiencies. Deficiencies will be prioritized and handled by staff budget.
So that would mean things like the rehabilitation of the East Fields. That $1 million line item is addressed deficiencies, which means that is not something that you want us to consider for this discussion.
I would say yes.
You do.
I mean, I think if it's something that, I mean, I think what is rehabilitation of the fields addresses the current condition of the East Field. So I think that's the project that, yes, if it gets fixed, it does this may work, that addresses it, but it is the price that goes with it. So I think it's something where if you were very passionate, if you're very passionate about that, then I think that's something to elevate and say it addresses the deficiency we've seen and the price tag is roughly this. Because it's not currently in the budget anymore for the 1.07 million to cover that.
Okay. So there's some deficiencies we don't need to worry about, but some we should worry about, I guess. Probably the big ticket,
Yeah.
ticket. Okay.
Really quick, so can we elevate something that's already marked for near term? Are you just looking to prioritize near term and possibly promote mid-term to near term? Am I following this correctly or?
I think we're looking for two of each. To figure out
One or two.
one or two of each. Yeah.
So from the near term, we're picking 1 or 2, as I mentioned, and then from the medium and long term, we're picking.
But if the commission would rather focus on multiple near-term projects in lieu of other projects, you can discuss that too.
I think,
Just
yeah.
as a starting point.
So, before we discuss any more questions and we'll open public comment and then come back to discussion. By order of process, correct?
All I have is questions. I still have no idea what's happening here. So we are and are not to look at the addressing of deficiencies. Some may or may not have prices. May or may not be
Well, we
budgeted.
have to work with what we're given, so.
Actually,
the
our
ones
public
that are-
works director just joined the meeting.
Okay.
Hi there, good to see you all. Thanks for having me. I was just gonna comment a little bit on the way we're set up for this current fiscal year based on just kind of prior discussions with council through the budget. So we have roughly $400,000 set aside. That doesn't include the town park restroom that was funded already, so that's not dipping into the 400K. And then in general, we've set aside 200 for deficiencies and 200 for improvements. Really the deficiencies are gonna focus on, where we have the most either liability or hazards or risk. And so really that's an exercise that we just started to get into at Public Works, and we're gonna really go through the list in detail and kind of based on the liability and risk, attack them with that funds. So as much as any input you provide will be useful and we will take it in consideration, we're pretty much gonna put it where it's most needed. Some of those things are, some of the tripping hazards on the paths, and you may have seen by the old restrooms, there's some tree wells that have been empty and someone could twist an ankle in there. And we've got a couple picnic areas that probably should be brought up to ADA accessibility, so things like that. But we don't have the full list yet. We still have to kind of do a little more analysis on that. But definitely on the improvement side, definitely looking for any thoughts and feedback you have on there.
That's helpful. So it sounds like maybe our focus is sort of that $200,000 pot. Primarily in other than addressing deficiencies, because you're gonna deal with that as you need to, based on a totally different evaluation. Reliability, safety, things like that aren't for us. Is that a fair?
Yes.
Fair? Okay, all right, that's helpful. I think I can grapple with that one. Yeah.
But it is up for council discussion too, so you can suggest items above that dollar amount, knowing they're going to discuss their priorities.
Gotcha.
Okay, and that dollar amount is already set aside for the near term.
Yes.
Okay, let's do public comment and I can bring it back to the commission for discussion. So is there anybody from the public here in person today that would like to make a comment? Do we have any raised hands or email public comment, Rebecca?
Actually, we do have a raised hand from an online attendee, so I will let him speak first while I check the email public comment. Clark Miller, I will unmute you now. Hello, Clark.
Hello, good evening, commissioners. This is Clark Miller with Corte Madera Football Club. Nice to see everyone. Hope you had a nice holiday break. I just wanted to commend the council and this commission for all the hard work that's gone into this master plan. It was a very inclusive process over the last year and a half, and I think all parties involved did a really terrific job in distilling all of these highest priority projects. Perhaps no surprise, but I would like to throw my support behind the rehabilitation of the East Fields as a high priority for this commission and ultimately the council to consider. While it is shown on this list as addressing deficiencies, that certainly is true, but I think the list, the spreadsheet is a bit limiting by defining a given project in only one way. I think it's easy to imagine that this is also a very desirable public amenity as well. And so we have heard within our club significant support for this. And we also know of a number of other groups, from rugby to lacrosse to softball to flag football, that are all very interested in seeing these fields operating at a optimized rate with which is commensurate with other groups that are in the leagues that we play in. So I strongly urge the commission to give proper consideration to that rehabilitation. It obviously is a large ticket item, and everyone recognizes that on our side, but I think that it has, through all the hard work that RJ's team has done, we've made really great improvements, but there are just inherent deficiencies in these fields that will not be addressed unless a major rehabilitation is undertaken. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clark.
Do you have any email public comment?
Okay, we did receive an email public comment from Patty Stolier, who said, I did not hear any priority for senior gathering spot in the upcoming planning. Should I presume that's not in the next 10 years?
We don't have anything on here related to meeting space, Park Madera Center,
The
Plaza.
Correct. That could be.
That's a big miss.
Well, I think it's
that is a
direction.
gathering space in and of itself, when it was developed.
Yeah. But in terms of plans for what we're doing with the Park Madera Center or Pet Club, it's not in here, nor community center rehab.
There was just the one about doing the parking and opening up medium-term improved parking at Park Madera Center and create double gate entry path from the dance studio parking lot to the east side of the park. Is that because the town is receiving revenue and so we're kind of that's not really our land to really develop for a park, or?
Well, there is an item here for long-term, sorry, like you said, build new plaza event space to the north of the community center.
No, that would be.
No, I know,
yeah,
but that is identified in terms of a new gathering or event space.
right, but we don't, like, some of the topics we've had in the past have been build a whole new community center, like, and then also like integrate Park Madera Center, and it's just not on here as a line item, and I don't know.
Well, I think we looked at existing facilities, so it wasn't an
Yeah.
existing
Yeah.
facility, so I think if the council decided to go that route to take those facilities, then it'd be different, but those weren't, they're just on existing facilities we already had. Not a facilities we could possibly obtain or possibly develop. That's why they, I think, laid it out that.
Got it.
There is a line item about consider opportunities to activate Town Park Plaza to encourage community gathering and community engagement opportunities. I suppose something like that could be extrapolated to other locations around town too, to encourage community gathering and engagement opportunities. But we would have to identify
Yeah,
what that would look like project wise.
okay.
What page was that, Rebecca?
Just
As funding allows. towards the
oh, the
back. Yeah.
it's under near-term and ongoing action plan, page 37. Thanks. Sort of above add benches as part of memorial bench program, which we should also talk about because we have received a lot of requests for memorial benches.
So I think we've got a lot here to tackle and trying to think of like 222 may be hard. So we may need to do some bucketing of things we want to consider first, so kind of. Yes, Tim.
You want to close public comment?
Oh, yes, can you?
I'm not seeing any additional raised hands.
Great.
No additional requests.
So with that, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the commission for discussion. Yes,
Well, no, I was just trying to think, because as I try to figure out how to talk about it with you guys, I'm wondering. It sounded like RJ still thought maybe they could use a little bit of a, little input on the addresses deficiencies, if there was one that was particularly meaningful to all of us. So what do you guys think about maybe just running through the addresses deficiencies sort of quickly together as a group and seeing if there's any one of those that, we want to put our finger on the scale on that, like anything there, and then maybe go back to sort of the orange, the near term, and if we've got, in my mind, playing around with this 200,000, maybe we first start at, looking together at anything that's, I'm making this up, guys, like $15,000 or less to see if there's, that we could get like several, like, hey, we could do all of these. I don't know. Or does anybody else have another way to approach this? Because I'm kind of, my brain's swimming.
It's also limited in a staff time.
See what RJ,
Yeah.
if he really wants our advice on the deficiencies, or if the liability is gonna drive that.
As we were going through the conversation, I actually realized I probably need to provide a little more info. So for this current fiscal year that we're in, that we're more than halfway through, that's where we set aside the $400,000. And 200 is for deficiencies, 200 is for improvements. We have not gone through the budget process for the following fiscal year, which starts in July. So, there is opportunity to kind of start thinking about what goes into that as we approach council.
So
Do you need our guidance in terms of the deficiencies, or you feel that those will be
No,
managed by?
I really think the deficiencies are going to be driven by liability and risks.
Yeah,
So unless there's something that's not on the list or something you feel passionate that, really give us a hard look, we're going to put the money where the risk and liability is. And then the other one, just, given the feedback from Clark about, the fields, there's kind of different cost options there. One is, right, we already last year we enhanced the maintenance program for the fields. We've talked about with the football club about going a step further. I know there were some comments from council to look at how we can go a step beyond in terms of just standard maintenance in the interim until we can pool the funds to do the big brand new field. And then separately, if the new field is a priority, then you would want to start putting money aside for design work that would go into the eventual construction. So on the soccer fields, those are kind of the 3 buckets, if you will.
So if I take a step back and think about the goals of the master plan and kind of the goals of what we do with our facilities, is making sure we are building and investing in community spaces, right? And spaces that people will gather and interact and recreate, right? And kind of those pieces of it. So I think that there's some, are probably our 3 biggest or most frequently used are Town Park, Mingy Park, and Cove. Is where we have the most population gathering, correct? Correct. So we can kind of say like these are going to be our 3 biggest investments. And then when we think about what's in those, we have athletic fields across both. We've got courts and facilities across both. We've got benches and park places across both. And then we have pathways, which I think of as, mostly we'll deal with because they're deficient and those kind of fall into that disrepair. And I know that the Community Foundation is very invested in helping us with Minky Park. So there may be an opportunity for us to kind of expand our appetite with their support. So kind of without going line by line, kind of saying we believe in athletic fields and park benches might be a way to kind of give guidance back to say, these are the places we want to do. Like, and I guess RJ, there's a question for you, for us to say, oh, we do park benches in Town Park, but not in Cove. Like, does that really save us that much? Like, if we're gonna do benches and we're gonna fix picnic tables, isn't it more efficient to fix them all over town than try and fix one park versus another?
Tim's probably got just good of an answer for that as I do. He's kind of been leading the memorial bench process, but yeah, so I don't know if I have a great answer for that. But yeah, certainly feedback. If you just said, yeah, invest in the bench program, then we can take it from there and kind of get more answers and come back, and Tim can kind of share progress and updates and stuff. But yeah, if you wanted to say, hey, I think on the turf fields, I really want you to do enhanced maintenance, and separately, I think it's important that you invest in the new fields down the line, then we would want to hear that. So we would want kind of comments for each of those categories, the kind of ongoing maintenance program and the timing of design work and eventual construction of the sports fields. And then same thing, with Minky Park. There's the, Community Foundation has done some work on kind of doing the landscaping improvements, and then, or is there more desire to, create some more refined plans for, the larger plaza concept. So
So back in the fall, I thought we did this long discussion around, like, this is what the survey said from the community, and this is what the town prioritized. So should we use that as a starting point to anchor to that? Because that's what we heard. I thought we did a similar exercise.
Yeah, that was the survey in part. This matrix
Coming
had
from
that.
that.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is stemming from it. This is kind of the.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I for some reason distinctly remember, like, everybody wants pickleball courts.
Yeah.
So why don't we start, I mean, would it be easier to just start from some of those things that seemed to just rise to the top?
Well, those are usually your near-term ones that people that scored high, that could be
Okay.
accomplished, that fulfill that need. So that's where those near-term kind of came from. You can see pickleball courts is obviously on the town park. So some of those things were, that's how this was developed. So you basically took those many surveys, took the matrix and plugged it into this action plan, which kind of a step process. That's how they kind of get to that.
Okay. I'm just saying, I first posted pickleball courts, that's 125,000 out of our 200K, we're trying to prioritize.
Well,
Am I not understanding
that
this?
was identified by council to be
Okay.
used in the $200,000 of funding in this current fiscal year.
Yeah, we're talking.
So
about
that's
the
we're going to
next
talk
fiscal
about in the next item, because that was already elevated.
Right, so
Okay.
it almost feels, I was gonna ask, it feels kind of like out of order a little bit, because pickleball is listed here as one of these things we're supposed to be considering, yet it's on our agenda, we've already got design, it's been elevated already, so really, we
Yeah,
shouldn't
because-
waste our vote on that, is that?
Because I think at the time this was developed, we didn't have that money set aside.
Okay.
that we had.
So, so is there anything else like that, or like the Mankey Park thing is, because the Community Foundation is invested in proposing, a partnership or collaboration, would it be beneficial for us to say, we as a whole support supporting the Mankey Park project in some capacity as one of our things, but no specifics to it because this is all an evolution?
Or it could be potentially two of your things, knowing that it's a two-phase process where the first phase is making the park itself more accessible with more seating for the summer concerts and all the special events that happen there. And phase two is a longer phase requiring traffic studies and community outreach and closing the street and creating the plaza community gathering space component, which would span multiple years and multiple budgets. So if you support A and B, we could put that forward now and, or if you want to make sure that A, just the short-term part of the project is supported now, that's also an option. Or like RJ said, fields, if you support both the expanded maintenance plus exploring the further regrading and rehabilitation of the field, which is a more expensive multi-year long-term project, then that needs to be budgeted for accordingly now, and that would take multiple fiscal years worth of budgets and staff time and planning and preparation.
So when we started the whole master plan project, my understanding was in part that we stopped thinking about our parks in small pieces and just doing kind of small projects to address little areas and looking at them as a whole and what do we want them to be, big picture. And so I think we need to start thinking about some things like Menke Park. Like I would support a two-phase project of making it more accessible and better usable in the short term, but really, like, we should look at that long term and see how can we really utilize that space that is so underutilized and it's, you know, kind of in the heart of old Corte Madera. So I think this is our chance to think big picture and to think long term. And so we would, I think, be kind of letting the community down if we didn't put some of those things forward as like, yes, let's look at this long term and see what can we really do with this space. So I would fully support something like that. Especially with Menke Park, I think it's a great opportunity. And I think this is the time for us to make these long-term calls and bring some of these big projects forward and, you know, put it in front of town council now. It's like, yes, we are looking at the park as a whole. We want to see it change. We want to see it develop. And the other one is the East Field. We were trying to figure out how long I've been on the commission, if it's 6 or 7 years. But as long as I've been on this commission, that East Field has been something that the community has routinely showed up and requested. So I think like it is time to look at the big project for that East Field and quit punting it down the road because it's been punted for almost a decade. So, you know, there's the entire park and increased maintenance, which Public Works has already been doing and starting, and it's made a huge change. But I think the community for 6 or 7 years now has said, we want this East soccer field to be a really nice, full-size, redone playable soccer field. And we talked as a committee and kind of decided that we supported natural turf versus artificial. And so I think that is another one that I would like to see the commission put forward for near or medium term to get that going. And then pickleball is already going, but you're right, like pickleball is a no-brainer. That was top of the list. But that's already in the works, so we don't have to go for that. And then the other one is the Park Madera is its own thing. I think developing that is something that should really be looked into, but the Cafe Verde Plaza, developing that, like Patty Stolier was saying, a gathering place, right? Like that's a natural opportunity for a multi-generational gathering place for the town to develop. And that's another one that I would recommend looking into.
I would agree almost everything Sarah said. I think Mickey Park is a big investment. It's a huge opportunity for us to kind of expand that footprint and to create a true downtown for Corte Madera. So I like the idea of thinking of that in 2 phases. Our fields are wildly used and need help, so we definitely need an investment. I can't quite figure out how to think about how much investment and how much investment when. I feel like I'm just not enough of a field maintenance expert to totally give that advice, but to say like,
We're not.
get us better.
Mhm.
And then flip that switch, kind of continue to invest there. I think that there's a really big opportunity to think about the way Park Madera Center and the park are integrated to really create more of a campus feel. Like we're gonna need more space. We're gonna need a way to have more classrooms, short of renovating the community center, which we know is very far off. So like, how do we start to have those spaces feel more integrated? I think in that process, we will create some more natural gathering spaces. We'll tear down some fences, we'll move some garbage cans. Well, it'll feel like, it can feel like a lot more of an open space for movement. And ideally there is some space in there for our seniors that we can at least get them four walls again to be in. And then from a maintenance and efficiency perspective, to me, it's all about the pathways, which are so widely used, and then making sure our picnic tables are pleasant to sit at. I don't know, you know, some of them just need a little bit more love and care. I don't know if we necessarily need to expand them, but like make sure all of them are in good working condition, and then we'll deal with the pickleball in 5C. The last thing I'd say is like the bathroom thing. I don't go over to the Canada, so if anybody's over there, like, do we need to do some stuff on bathrooms? I know bathrooms are always a hot issue, and we're fixing the town park bathrooms, but,
It's just a porta potty, 'cause there's no.
yeah, I don't know, does it need a little cover? It's on here as a thing. I'm looking at you because I feel like you spent more time over there.
No.
No, okay.
So we need to- It's not in the porta potty. I've been there years ago. But you know, that actually does, that does speak to one thing I would add. I very much appreciate, Sarah, what you said, because you're right, we just talk and talk about the same things over and over, and like, this is an opportunity, let's move things, do our part to move things forward. It's not up to us, right? It's our recommendation to move the big ticket items that the community has expressed interest for, move those forward. That all being said, I think it's important that in this, we continue to sort of keep in mind Cove, Granada, the parks that aren't as maybe as used as much by as many residents of the town, but are very much used, and improvements certainly can be made. I know that some of the deficiencies will be corrected.
Yeah,
And I don't necessarily think a big ticket item lies in those right now, but just to make sure that we're really representing all the residents.
I agree. I mean, I think that Cove has a pretty sizable opportunity to kind of improve their fields too, right? So when we think about field maintenance, we should think about making sure all of our fields, like, I think this is where I just don't feel smart enough to be able to say, it's this one thing we've got to do in the East Field, and that's gonna get us 3 more seasons versus what we need to do for Cove. We know we've got drainage problems in both places. We've got a lot of kids playing in both places. We could potentially even do more over at the Cove if we felt like there's definitely a ton of space there. So, I think
Can I
that.
ask a question maybe to narrow some
Yes.
of the questions? So I mean, there's several multi-year projects that you've already touched on, and you know, it's the Minky kind of long-term concept. Could be the community center, you know, renovation. It could be Park Madera Center renovation. It could also be the design for the sports field, and Tim, Rebecca, jump in if there's another one. But those all require like a design process that it's going to take, you know, a couple years. So, you know, of those 4 and any that I mentioned, hop in, Tim or Rebecca, you know, what would be 2 that you would put at the top?
Yeah, prioritization was going to be my next ask
Yeah.
as well, and then I was going to ask if conceivably design phases could span several projects.
Well, yeah, how do we stagger it, right?
Yeah.
So we can accomplish some
Well, I think,
goals.
I mean, by saying 2, I mean, I'm not, you know, guaranteeing or committing that we can deliver 2 at once, but at least you have a 1 and then a 1 right behind it. So
So I would advocate that Minky Park is a big priority, but that we leverage our friends in the community foundation for their support in the design phase. And that we as a town need to manage the Park Madera Senior Plaza, and that whole piece, we don't have a partner to help us with. The one thing I would say about the community center, I wouldn't say renovate the whole thing, but I would, if there was a way to have 2 events in there at once, there's a way to carve out some kind of way to make this flex space flexible. I feel like that would be useful in programming. And I don't know if that puts field maintenance in the like, not renovate right now, but like move us on that path and keep investing there.
So
Would
on
be
the
my-
just
Yeah.
kind of enhanced regular field maintenance, we do have a plan to kind of increase the number of aerating and fertilizing and seeding events from 4 to 6. And that'll cost, compared to what we were spending a couple years ago, that'll cost no more than $50,000. Compared to last year, it might only cost an extra $15,000 or $20,000. So that's kind of the direction we're going based on the feedback we heard from council in June or July. And we'll be starting the first aerating here, I think, in the first week of February. So that's kind of a sense of dollars with respect to that, annual maintenance approach. And then obviously separately is the whole design and construction of a brand new field eventually when that gets prioritized.
Hey, RJ, does that include the Cove athletic fields as well?
I don't know that we do a whole lot of maintenance on those fields in terms of aerating and seeding. We're primarily doing the east and west fields here in Town Park, given the usage. But I don't know, Tim, do you have any data points on kind of how many teams or games happen at Cove compared to Town Park?
Obviously, Town Park obviously takes a bigger hit, it's a larger facility. We usually have, or the 3 years I've been here, have not done any aeration or fertilizing or seeding at Cove. We just cut the grass and prepared the infield for a little bit. Obviously, that is a property that's mostly on district property, so that's been why we haven't done different things on that. But otherwise, we haven't done any of that to Cove.
But the
And
issue, we've never actually lined a soccer field over there. But also, the issues are different, right? I mean, other than drainage might be shared, but the.
The size you can put as a larger field is different. You could put smaller things, but it's a different challenge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we're also not playing soccer on it, right? Like if you're not getting as much foot traffic on the grass, it's not
Sure.
gonna need as much.
Right.
The question is, why don't we? And I don't know.
There's soccer over there.
There is some, obviously not the same amount that there is in Town Park, but it's like, there is some out there, but not as much, because there are some limitations of size of the field you can fit and everything else. And sort of that's part is, it's pretty much wet year round, no matter what, even when you turn the sprinklers off, it's still wet because of where it is with the
Got
water.
it. Okay.
But it is a field used quite a bit by Queens Lily for most of their game.
Yeah.
So in the springtime, it's a lot of use.
Okay.
And Twin Cities still does a lot of the field maintenance on that, right?
Yeah, we do an initial cleanup and then they do the maintenance on an ongoing basis, correct?
And then it's essentially the playground for the school.
Correct.
So it's pretty rough over there during the winter.
Yes.
All the kids, well, they're not allowed to go on the grass. So all of the kids are packed into that very small concrete thing where it's a risk to even walk near there because there are games of basketball, dodgeball, I'm not joking, yeah, wall ball, football.
Take your life in your own hands.
All of it, it's all the time, like you're out there like trying to, and it's on pavement, and that's a much smaller place than the Neil Cummins blacktop, so. I do think it has different needs, but I don't want to forget when we talk about field rehabilitation.
Talk about all of our fields.
They want to lobby for the Cove to be in there as well.
So I think it sounds like there's a shared priority of fields and Mankey Park. I would say it seemed like the two highest. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if we need to like.
I would also add that the Corte Madera Center reuse discussion is a bit further down the road because we are limited due to the fact that those stores over there have leases right now. And council still needs to have a discussion on the center long-term.
Right, I don't think our discussion to have necessarily.
Your interest in it is important to note, but I don't think it's something that can be slotted into this year's funding, given the conversations that still need to take place. But it's good to note your interest.
And is that sort of collectively where we were thinking about this gathering space? It's also in response to the senior community request, is that?
Well, it doesn't get, I mean, neither Mankey Park is an outdoor space, but I think the age-friendly center used to have a room in the community center where they could host all of their events, and that is no longer. And so between field maintenance and Mankey Park, we have not solved that answer. And so that's where kind of possibly the Corte Madera Center has spaces that as they come available, we could use for that. And, or we think about having the community center, if it can somehow create two spaces, like it's one giant, beautiful room. And it'd be great to have a way to say, this room is for these people and we can run 2 events at once. It would take a little bit of creative folding walls to still be able to access the bathrooms or have people come in, but I think maybe that is another thing to think about, because then we could potentially have maybe not a permanent space, but a more frequently used space. for certain groups.
I think the feedback from the seniors, it's been a place to hang out, to go and just relax or meet or chat or have coffee or talk, or something else that's dedicated to them at least during those hours when kids are in school, and maybe can give to something in the afternoon, but a place that they can kind of take ownerships of. And the community, there's a challenge with the high walls, the bank room. It's a beautiful room. You try to subdivide it up, you're still gonna have challenges with bathroom access, whatever it is to have that kind of an space that seniors where it's cozy and quiet and warm and full of relationships.
Yeah, when, you guys move into the new facilities, is Parks and Rec going to stay where they are currently? Okay.
Most of you guys telling me somebody I don't know, but yes, no one knows.
Really quick, just on the Park Madera, I think what would be very helpful is to get a little bit of a better understanding on when those leases are up. If it's something that all of them are on an 8-year lease, that kind of answers our question on, we're not gonna have anything in the near term. But if there's some that are coming up sooner than later, that gives us an option to maybe have a social spot for them. I mean, at least it gives us an idea of when we can start recommending it or expediting.
I think it's Pet Club 2026, 2025, 2026. It's not too far away.
But what
No, but I'm
about,
thinking of one of the smaller storefronts.
yeah, there's like the laundromat,
Like next to
Tim,
him.
Barber's 3, and then around the corner, there's a bunch more. So, I mean, I don't know, there's probably 7 or 8 units there, right?
Yeah, our dance studio is the furthest unit to the right. That is our dance studio. We have classes in on a regular basis. There's adult classes usually in the morning, and then dance for adults or tap or some other youth classes in the afternoon.
And that one's not quite ready for a senior center, given where the restroom is.
The bathroom upstairs.
Tricky stairs, yeah.
That's the
But that one for me, I don't know what you guys think as well, but that one for me seems like a really reasonable ask of our community, right? For a population in our community, have a little space to go to.
And it doesn't have to be permanently, but I mean, to Tim's point, it just needs to be cozy enough that I can pull the chair and hang out. It doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't need to be like permanently or can be used for multiple things.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're missing that in our first 2 priorities, and so as we think about.
Well, we can have 1 or 2 from both sections, so that's a total of.
It's a total of 4. Well, he said 6, 2.
That was just a starting point.
Yeah, no, but
Actually, any shape you
Yeah.
want your recommendations to.
I mean, you want to say those 3 things.
Yeah,
As our top priorities and then go from there. So those
Community fields and senior space.
I like that.
and then either short-term and long-term implications for
both, or all 3.
potentially all 3.
Yeah,
Maybe not for the senior, maybe we could find a good solution there, but.
I think so I just want to reiterate, the East Field that we've talked about, Park Madera, we've already talked about. I'm not gonna mention that. The one that I didn't hear, and what I think would be also an easy kind of remainder to see if we have actually extra money is the rehabilitation of trees in the park. Since we've taken down so many of the trees, it's very noticeable, and it takes so long to grow a tree.
That is
So
the
sooner
reason.
the better for some of that. And I mean, I would imagine we're talking tens of thousands as opposed to, $100,000. So if there is money to be able to do that, I think shade in the park is big for kids. During soccer, during summer, we've got heat waves. I think that
Less
gotta
water
start
needed for
prioritizing
grass
that.
from their shade, I mean, lots of,
Saves water and more shade, yeah.
yeah.
Rebecca, did you just say that that's something that's already in the
Public
works?
Works has, what is it, RJ, a tree survey throughout town, and then that will result in.
Well, it's more of a
Recommendations.
tree inventory to just make sure that, we're on top of maintenance and, getting rid of any hazards. I imagine that information could be used for other purposes. But I think there was some discussion and I don't know if it's Public Works or planning to start discussing, some replanting, but it's nothing that's set in our work plan as of now.
Yeah, oh, that will also probably come up next week, as our town manager had mentioned, looking to engage in, with a landscape architect for a tree replanting plan for the picnic area that lost the trees. We had talked with RHAA about that before their engagement with us ended for this master plan, and it would be a separate engagement with them to discuss that. And separately, we would also probably want to discuss what that picnic area looks like going forward. If we
Let me
wanted
back up,
to-
yeah, specifically to the, half dozen or dozen trees that were removed by picnic area B, there's gonna be some conceptual layouts of replanting and what that could look like in the near term.
And they would recommend trees that are especially suited to a park, in terms of shade and growth and water. So it'll be park appropriate trees that would be recommended for replanting.
Can we also include the playground in that? There have been some big trees lost in there over the past 10, 15 years.
Excuse me, Tom Burke.
Town park, yeah,
Just wanna
sorry.
check that, yeah.
Sorry, that used to shade it from the west side. And, most of that park becomes unusable during certain hours of the day for a good chunk of time because there is not much shade.
In
And a lot of
playground or in the periphery?
So there, the western side of the playground, there was, I think, one in it that it came down in a storm the day my daughter was born, so I know, I can tell you what day it happened, and it took out a slide and, but it was a big tree that shaded that whole, like the structure that's by the climbing wall. And so that came down and nothing was ever replanted. And then, the trees that are planted around like the sand area and everything, they haven't really grown, they're stunted, they're not doing well, so that's not helping much. And then we put up the shade structure, but it doesn't really shade anything and.
That
So-
was an issue with that particular spot, especially with that shade structure, was the high water table
It
made
was
it difficult to put in
Huge
the
issues.
shade structure. So I'm wondering if that's also inhibiting the growth of the trees over there.
So, yeah,
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and recap what I think we've got a near term and medium to long term. And in our near term, we have field maintenance, all fields, Minky Park and space for seniors. And we think all three of those kind of go into our medium and long term with the kind of Hay Park Madera as potentially one of those things to think about in terms of space for seniors. And more, campus wide. For 2023, we have our deficiencies where we care about trees, pathways, and picnic tables. And benches. Existing, making the existing working. And then we're gonna talk about pickleball and 5C.
What about the community center making,
With that, the space for seniors, like that one solve for that could be taking the community center and giving it 2 spaces.
Sure.
That I can't think of you might think of a better solution than that. We haven't talked about the kids center either. The aftercare space. Do we need to worry about the buildings in the aftercare space?
well, currently lease the district,
Yeah, okay.
right now.
So we're gonna do this. Okay,
That may change right now, we're currently leasing to the district. For both the 2 outdoor portables and F1 and F2.
What's currently in the back space of the community center that has
Behind the
off
stage?
storage? Yeah,
So it's the green room. It currently has all of our storage that we value, so it doesn't get destroyed across the way of the barn, because the barn has some challenges with some little friends.
is that's the one that has the door, an exterior door?
Correct.
That space?
So basically, it's a storage of all of our supplies and stuff that we use on a regular basis that we don't want to get destroyed.
Cause that once was used as a gathering space.
It
Yeah.
was, so our playground was run out of that, and RJ, you can discuss or kind of give input of why that was kind of shut down. I was before my time.
Yeah, I think to really use that as a public space, it needs ADA upgrades.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so
remember
we're
ADA.
actually,
Yeah, that's right.
Versus has an RFP out for what we call an ADA transition plan. So it'll do more analysis on that and also provide some, costs or priorities to improve accessibility across the town.
Those were staff offices when the H. Conley Center.
I
was-
remember. Yeah.
so the barn, is that attached to Cafe Verde?
It is.
And there's been talk about renovating that and bringing it up. I don't know what kind of shape it's in other than it's being inhabited.
It's a very drafty storage area right now.
Uh-huh.
Public Works has some tools and their Gatorade. And then we have some other supplies in there that we keep, that we use on a illustrative basis.
I mean, that space by the plaza there. That's another space to look at for a gathering place. I don't know what, I mean, it could be so flexible where it could be a classroom after school, a gathering place during the day, potential music space on summer evenings. You know, just making that a shell, a usable room that would open up onto the plaza could be a good project. That could solve a lot of problems.
And,
Yeah,
and
I
if
think
that project was a, one that the commission wanted to pursue, you would also have to come up with an alternative place for all those items that are stored in it, in the nearby vicinity, because a lot of those things do get used on a regular basis, for maintaining the other facilities. So that would have to go hand in hand. I'm not saying it isn't impossible, but, part of the, thought process.
How's your garage, RJ?
Not close. to- And it's already too full.
And once you tour the barn, I'll give you one. It's back to-
So yeah, I think as we explore the space for seniors, just figuring out what can we do with the community center, and it may be that making some kind of, retractable wall that moves up the bar side is the answer. Maybe it's actually doing the ADA upgrade on what used to be the green room, right? But I think making sure we have that second space in that building. Figuring out the storage piece. Because there's also the word storage shed, and then eventually that porta potty is gonna go away, and there's gonna be some pretty open, it's gonna be pretty to look at again back there.
I think as long as we keep this at top of mind, right, that we don't have an answer, we can all come up with ideas, but eventually, like, just making sure it remains a priority in the dialogue.
I think it's fair to, if your feedback is kind of what I thought I heard, is prioritize further analysis or design on how to make those spaces usable. Or specifically one or the other. I would want to confirm what I heard, but that's a reasonable, actionable item, right?
I was thinking.
I don't think it goes along if somebody else leaves one of the facilities that are there and property, could you take it over and
Right.
turn something that's,
100%.
got a bathroom downstairs and just some space. It's not a lot, but it's just a space to hang out with the bathroom is key. And I think all of those are kind of piecemeal, different than annual ones.
Correct, they're not all in the same.
Not a,
But yeah, that is an opportunity to use that space in a different way until the larger conversation of what to do with the center as a whole is talked about.
Anyone like to? I don't know,
I
I
still have questions, yeah, sorry. On page 40, at the very second to the bottom. I know it says an address deficiencies, this sort of repair the asphalt paving as needed. It has a $0 by it, which I love that price.
Free.
Yeah, but those pathways over there are awful, like truly dangerously awful. Is it fair to say that that's zero because it's just such a no-brainer that's gonna happen? Like, what's the zero on that one?
Which ones specifically?
it's co-part of ongoing timeline of the repair and asphalt paving.
Yeah, we just have to confirm if some of those are school maintained, some are town maintained, so we got to go through that exercise. But yeah,
And so I thought we did in part of the master plan, like the jurisdictional boundaries were mapped out. There was a
some of the
whole
agreements
thing.
are vague. In particular, the one at the Cove. I can't recite it off the top of my head, but it's kind of says something like new improvements are maintained by town, something like that. I don't know, but it's a head scratcher.
Got it. Is that something then that, I don't know who to ask, but we've been scratching our heads on that one for a long time. I mean, the paths they're almost unbikeable. They're so awful. And so there's absolutely no way that elderly people with anybody with a walker or wheelchair, anybody can get through in a reasonable way over there. And they're not getting better. And there's only the one path from the parking lot to the school, and the rest of it is like muddy, slip and fall, eat it during months of the year. So I'm wondering if we can get that answer once and for all, and then know what to do, because it's gonna get kind of punted here with zeros and pushed along down the line, and that's unfair to that entire community.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Thanks, appreciate that. And then my last plug, because there is only that one horrific path and nothing else, in a very wet field over in the Cove, is top of page 41. Also, love the price, 0. It talks about one additional pathway, kind of connecting that Cove Park. And I don't know if anybody can visualize this. There's where the street comes to an end right near the baseball diamond. There's that little archway from the community. And then that path either connects with this horrible path that hopefully we fixed, or nowhere else. And so sometimes people are trying to cut through the baseball diamond, the field. And so we had talked about just exploring the opportunity of connecting that park a little bit. So it's just more usable.
It would be like, would it be going off to the left towards the bathrooms? Is that what you would do?
Yeah, maybe, or just like connecting this tiny little strip to the playground over there or anything else, just so that people that want to get to
Oh, even on the other side of the
Yeah,
grass,
like the-
yeah, to the
because
right.
people aren't using that whole area that's over
The one
there.
that goes from the first street or the one that goes from like the middle of the street into the more back side of the park?
Into the backside, that has that little archway that comes from the community.
Okay.
And you come in and then you can either go to the parking lot or you go off to the right. And so there's no way to kind of connect to the playground in the middle to make it sort of a fluid park. And I think people would use it more. There's the volleyball court. I mean, there's things all over
Yeah.
there, but they just, you're in one spot, you have to go all the way around or through a muddy field. So anyway, it's because the price was so attractive on that one, I thought I'd.
In general, new path is gonna be $20 to $30 per square foot.
Okay, and it's actually, I don't think a long piece to connect it, but anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out because my final thought was, is there anything on here, guys, that's like, that we maybe could do in-house, low financial ask that is something like immediate, that anybody sees that they just love, they're like, oh, that's just a few thousand, and I know that's a big deal. Because I think maybe this is the time to throw that out as a priority, I don't know. Alright,
I trust that a lot of that stuff will fall into the deficiencies that are gonna be corrected.
Yeah.
And then I think that sort of leads to the next agenda item that maybe a ball is that.
Yeah.
It's not a small amount, but it's has a big impact. So
right.
So we do need to have a motion and a vote, yes or no?
I would have a motion.
Okay.
I don't know how to concisely summarize other than you provided support the direction that was provided to staff to elevate the items that you discussed to the
Field
town
maintenance,
council.
Mankey Park, and space for seniors. For both near term. and
field
long
maintenance
term.
and potential revision, right? Not just maintenance of the fields.
So continue the maintenance plus explore
Or
the
yes.
expanded.
pursue
Yes, would you like to?
Pursue the expanded.
I move that we as a commission elevate the following items. Mankey Park, both short-term and long-term, renovations. The fields, continued improved maintenance and exploration and continue momentum for potential new field of natural turf and establishing a gathering area for our senior community.
With a friendly addition, I'd ask for clarity on that jurisdictional issue. That's really important, I think.
That is my motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Excellent. Rebecca, can we have a vote, please?
Can I just ask a point of clarification on the other items, the deficiencies that you mentioned, throwing support toward trees, pathways, picnic tables and benches?
Yes.
Is that just a general support for those deficiencies?
Correct, yeah, it wasn't anything specific, but
Okay.
those were the deficiencies that
Highlight those.
that we highlight those.
So
that I think are
should
concerning.
funding? Yeah, okay.
They just have a lot of impact, I think.
But yes.
For everybody, everybody can sit on them.
I think for the first time this commission has tackled this discussion, I think This was incredibly productive.
Amazing.
Thank you. Commissioner Elson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenick,
Yes.
Commissioner Budeman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rose,
Yes.
Vice Chair Charlie. Yes. And Chair Miles.
Yes.
Thank you, and the motion passes.
We are moving on to 5C. We'll talk about the pickleball, but I've already read ahead. Maybe we're going to talk about pickleball. Tim will do his presentation, questions, public comment, discussion, vote.
That's if there's a particular item. I'm just sitting there now, and
You want to check what was meant? It's a kind of thing. It's delightful. That's not what I asked.
Sure, should we just put out copy?
I just wanted to say before Tim gets started, we do have Dimitri Copeland from our engineering department in Public Works, along with RJ Suko. Here to help with the discussion tonight.
Do you want to sign up now?
Parks and Rec, Commission. How are you all doing tonight? Thank you for having me. As Rebecca just said, I'm going to be giving a brief presentation on the town's plan to install some pickleball courts at Town Park. So let me just open that up real quick, share my screen. Is everyone able to see this okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is just a simple exhibit we have here. So as you can see, this is Town Park. This is the west end. Just to orient everyone, this is the town parking lot over off of Pixley Avenue. Here are the tennis courts and the skate park. And then over here, this is where we have the planned area for the pickleball courts just southeast of the skate park. So just going over the, the outer dimensions, it's going to be a 63 by 63 foot, area for both these courts. As you can see, each of these courts, their dimensions are 44 feet in length and 20 feet in width. That's the standard pickleball court dimensions. And then for the outer lanes, we have 7-foot lanes on the outside with a 9-foot inner lane. And then we also have on the top and bottom around the perimeter 9.5 feet of space. So this note that we have here, this is the encroachment into the grass area. So currently, as you can see, there's this asphalt pathway that comes down, and as you can see going around this hatched area, this is all asphalt currently. There's a ball wall here. And then this is the space that will be encroached upon for the grass area. So it's about 27 by 57. I think realistically it's 56 feet, but that's about 1,549 square feet of grass area that's going to be converted to hardscape for this. Another thing that I want to mention too, again, is that, like I said, there is a ball wall currently here, but that will have to be removed, taken down to accommodate these courts. And then south of this skate park, this is just, an asphalt area. I think there are some talks right now of in the future extending the skate park, down towards this area. We do have a comment on that it is a low area here. So if that were to happen, if that's the plan, then this would have to be regraded and leveled out. And that is, currently outside of the scope of what we're doing with the pickleball courts. So I just wanted to mention that. We do have another note here, and this is just talking about kind of the color scheme. So this is just a sample, reference court. The color scheme can vary, and I think we're going to discuss that more during the design. So just go down here. These are some photos we have. So this is as if you were standing at the north end of the pickleball courts looking south. So you can see here, there's the skate park on this end. There's the ball wall that I mentioned. And then this is just, again, showing that grass area that's going to be, converted to for the pickleball courts. Back there is that area that I was talking about for the skate park for, maybe a future expansion over there. And this is the other side. So this would be the west end of the courts. So it comes all the way up, to this slotted drain and this fence over here. So again, here's the grass area. This is the limits. It's going to go all the way to the wall and the fence back here. So yes, we have those. And I'm going to kind of go over the schedule. Sorry about that. The current schedule right now. So The design process, or in the design process, we're pretty much at 60% design. So our preliminary estimate with the 60% design for the construction of the pickleball courts is about 130,000. And that doesn't include the 10% construction contingency or the design or the design costs, because we will be doing that in-house. So that's the construction cost pretty much includes demolition of the ball wall, excavation of the this area to make sure that the base is on stable ground, or stable base. The fencing around it, the posts, the nets, the finish on the surface, the striping. So that's all of that. Since it is 130K, we will have to bid this out. So going back to the schedule, we'd have to, prioritize our resources. But if we did, we're estimating about a month to finish the design, get it from 60% to 100. And then it would be a month to bid it out. And then for the total construction time, we're expecting probably 2 months to do that. So in total, we're looking at about 4 months. And again, yeah, we'd have to, prioritize our resources and figure out the exact timeline for that. But just wanting to kind of mention that. I think for the surface, we're leaning towards the concrete surface right now. But we are looking into also doing like an asphalt surface. I think we have to have some more discussion on that impact. But yeah, it's pretty much, just like I said, a brief presentation, giving the current planned location and, how we plan to lay it out. And again, this area down here is not going to be impacted. We do plan to probably put a fence here in the skate park to access, as well as, adding a fence probably on, or a gate, probably somewhere along this north entrance, whether that's here or somewhere here where we have to extend this asphalt path. That is what we are thinking about. So yeah, just wanted to give that brief presentation. And now if there are any questions, willing to try to answer those for you all.
First, Dimitri, thank you I wasn't expecting that. That was amazing. First of all, thank you for all the work on this. I think the things I'll follow up on is that basically we noticed all the Facebook, we sent out social media, we pushed the newsletter, say it was coming. Obviously, something we talked about last month, bring back an easy project we could finish this fiscal year and the money we had. And just to follow up, I have been talking to the skate park, Skyline Foundation about expansion of the area. They're very excited about that opportunity. The ball wall would go away. They'd have the two pickleball courts, and then they could extend the skate park out to the right there, so they could make it larger area and footprint without taking any more of encroachment in the grass area. So that's a little update on that. And then just questions for Dimitri and myself before we go on.
It's 2 courts.
It is 2 permanent pickleball courts, correct?
And then the entrance would be up at the skate park rather than the side, so that we could. Yeah, there's like that path into the parking lot, but I see that we would walk around to get there. So you park and walk around the bathrooms and skate park, and the entrance would be where the grass is up at the top.
That's in the scenario where the skate park did get expanded.
Mhm.
Not, you could enter off to the side, kind of where you would go now.
Okay.
Is there a wall? So it looks like the proposed pickleball court goes right up to the skate park. Is there how high is the wall? And the only reason I ask is I finally played pickleball for the first time. And I was not always great about getting the ball where it was meant to go.
Well, the fence, not
Fence,
wall.
it should be a fence.
Okay,
Yeah.
something, right? Like, cause I could just vision myself somehow knocking out a poor skater.
It's really needs to be higher than the skate park fence.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering what the appearance of that looks like.
Right.
I think in the photo, you can see the photo that was shown before.
How tall, Dimitri, would the fence around the pickleball courts be?
I think we're still open on that. At this point, we anticipate we'll have to redo the fence at the skate park. And so there's an opportunity there to increase it if needed. And since the fence would be new around the pickleball court, there's also opportunity to increase it there. I mean, I would probably say we were initially thinking 5 foot, but if that needs to be higher, you know, we can definitely look into that.
You haven't seen me play higher.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
imagining something as tall as where the tennis courts are.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't need to be as tall as the tennis court.
No.
No,
Okay.
but taller than the skate park.
It's something a little taller than that.
One thing I would say, just to give it a little confidence, one of our folks in our engineering team is a very avid and enthusiastic.
Expert.
This is his signature design here based on a court that he plays frequently.
And now would these be locked key like the tennis courts for access? Would it be the same key?
Oh, I see no.
I guess I'll leave that to Tim. I didn't quite know that. So yeah, whatever Tim's plan is there.
Yeah, I think it would be treated like any other temporary pickleball courts we have.
And sorry, focus on this fence thing. Is it fence on fence here because of the drainage? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Like this, are you doing this line?
Yeah.
We would just do one fence. We
Okay,
wouldn't-
so the drainage would, okay.
Drainage not on the court side, please.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, that'll look better. I just wasn't sure what it's gonna look like. And so then, is there any financial efficiency to be had by when there's the excavation of the proposed pickleball, addressing that area that potentially either the skate park or something is gonna happen there, right? Otherwise, it's just this concrete area with nothing. You said it had to be regraded as well. Is there any efficiency to be gained by if that work is to be done? It should be done at the same time?
Potentially, yes. It depends though. I mean, if we're currently leaning toward concrete, so we wouldn't fill it with concrete. That wouldn't be a long-lasting solution. If we did go with a pavement, then certainly that would be an opportunity to have that same material there. And otherwise, there would still be some level of cost savings, but it's still an added cost compared to the budget that we have in front of you.
No, I know. I'm just always, when we talk about the public purse, so we don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. So I just thought we'd throw that out there if there is something.
Is there any chance that it may overlap with the construction? What is the timeline of the Scotty Lab project? Is that within a 4-month window taking place around summer, or is it just treated completely independent?
It is about the same timeline, and so with that new information, they could expand that way. They're working on designs right now to include that area.
So let them, so we should fill it if they're gonna be doing
Yes.
something with it.
This may be a totally weird question. But people do use the ball wall and they use it for all different kinds of things. Is it possible to make one of our fence walls a wall that can be used as a ball wall when people aren't trying to pickleball?
Stay
A ball wall, well, yeah, it's a Dr. Seuss book. I don't love the idea of just a big concrete wall in the middle of the park, but if it were one of the sides and that were possible within the budget, I'm curious.
I have a feeling that the demand for pickleball is gonna be far superior than a wall. So I think if somebody's there trying to use a ball wall, you're gonna be stared at by probably 30 or 40 people waiting to.
No, meant the opposite
From
side.
the outside.
On the opposite
Right.
side?
Use
Got
the
it,
outside
got it,
to-
okay,
But
got it.
also, you
Using
know,
up all of our
That's good.
Then you have to like concrete down.
pad, yeah.
Well, no, I was,
Additional
if we,
pad.
yeah, I was actually thinking on the inside,
Oh.
for when people aren't actually playing pickleball.
You'd
Or
have to
even
have
in the
a
tennis
key to
You
get
could
court.
do it in the tennis court, I
If
mean.
in the tennis court, there was a sense to have for people who don't have friends. and so on. Oh, gosh.
Or solo pickleball
Well,
players
you
who
know,
practice.
there are,
Yeah, no, my
there
kids,
are,
like,
I mean, come
take all the different balls and go
That are
to the ball
striped
ball,
with the tennis,
you know?
I know,
net.
but those are.
I mean, people can play on them if they
This one
want.
the kids are playing on
Yeah.
the other day.
I have another comment, just because obviously it's within budget to have, a couple of courts, and just knowing what the sheer demand is and other projects that have gone on. Just to be able to consider, what if it's just not meeting demand? Is there a way to be able to scale and add 2 more courts at some point in time? Or is that just not gonna be the location? We look at another location if we need to expand?
I don't know,
Did we-
I
did we
hesitate to
strike
pave over more
Granada?
of the park.
It'd be with
I
this part.
really do.
But we're striping courts at Granada,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
and then
The tennis courts
the
are
stripes will
striped.
remain on the other
Still
tennis
on the
courts,
tennis
correct?
court.
Yeah. But I think he's asking you if all of a sudden in a year we said, can we put two more right next to it? Share a fence and just add two more courts, could we do it?
Is there enough room in the rest of the grass area if everyone's okay with taking that space up? And it's
Or on
it's a
the-
big what if, I get.
Or even on the north side
Well,
of the tennis
I mean,
courts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's not gonna play the pickleball court if it's there.
Okay, I'm just curious, because if we were moving forward with it, it would make sense to, at least be thinking about it and not having it in two different locations.
Dimitri, do you think you could fit two more courts next to those?
Let me see. I'm
Yeah, that's fine.
take a look at the screen one more time.
And while Dimitri's looking at that, on the ball wall, I mean, this design wouldn't preclude a ball wall that, like you said, is kind of integrated into one of the courts, but it might be worth waiting to see if there's truly a demand there.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's,
yeah, just looking at it again, I defer to RJ and Tim, but we'd have to take some measurements, but it looks like there's some space here. I don't know if we can move this way. There is that wall here, so that would probably impede that. So maybe up here.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's feasible from a space standpoint. I think if you did reintroduce courts there, you would have to have a path that also went kind of a band around it so you could enter and access, all four courts without walking through one of the courts. But obviously that's a loss of green space, so we definitely want that, vetted and make sure we have community support there.
What is gonna happen with that wall? Sorry.
what's gonna happen with that
That
wall?
there is that short little wall that's
Retaining wall.
going all around. What is happening with that?
That would remain.
What is that for?
The
Right.
grade is higher on the backside where those trees are.
Got it.
That leads me to one last question. Do any of those trees have shallow roots that might damage or disrupt the asphalt or concrete after you pour it? Because cracks on tennis courts seems to be a big ongoing issue. Have we looked at those trees to make sure that it's not gonna
Well,
cause any problem?
There's that pattern, and there's the ball, where the ball wall is.
Yeah.
There's concrete.
There's concrete, but there's trees on the other side of it that have roots that could go under. I mean, I'm guessing the backboard probably has torn up concrete because of the roots, maybe?
Pull up the photo again, because
Yeah.
you would expect to see that condition now, in the
Right.
paper. And I don't recall seeing it, but
It's
it
not
looks
that
like
bad.
it's holding up pretty good.
Yeah, they're not huge trees.
Yeah.
More shrubs and
bushes.
Yeah.
This is interestingly enough, one of the driest corners of the park, though. So it is one of the few places that doesn't get waterlogged. So we are taking up some of the drier grass. It's not a ton of it, but I know that this is an active patch of sunny grass that gets used, particularly in our winter months. So just something to think about in terms of taking over the full space.
Something else that, this whole pickleball phenomenon, and you guys may well know this more than I do, but it's obviously very popular, and some facilities where they do build lots of courts get a lot of attention, not just from the locals. So if you did put 4 in, you might get a lot more out of towners than if you put 2 in. That makes sense.
Who are the out of towners?
It becomes like a place where people go and have tournaments instead of the locals.
I think it may beg the question, do we have enough benches and seating around there? And I think Dimitri, you did mention the possibility for something, and there is that one park bench there, but if we do think we're gonna have people waiting, we just wanna make sure that our.
Well, that is the area where we need to plant the trees that came out, and that was the picnic area that I mentioned we might want to re-envision.
Okay.
And making it a different configuration, because it is a very popular picnic area.
I think we've done a lot of our questions. We have more questions because we've got public comment discussion.
I think this looks great.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on the pickleball proposal? Is there anybody from the audience who would like to
Yeah.
comment? Please
Well-
come to the, please come to the.
Actually,
Or-
I think you can be heard from the podium. We're
Can you hear
using
me?
this Al's phone.
Yes, RJ, can you hear me? Um, the tennis courts have been impacted by the pickleball players community in several ways. One of the things that has happened in the last year, and I cannot say for real that it was tennis or pickleball players, but one of the doors was like, I don't know how to say it, violated or something.
Vandalized?
To be able to enter without a key. So the tennis course needs a few repairs. Like there's part of the surface that is like going down. Then one of the courts, some pickleball player most likely put some tape with like strong adhesives. So there are marks all over the tennis court, so that the court needs to be repainted and taken care of. And the nets have been damaged severely recently. So I just want to know, like, are the tennis courts gonna receive some care at the same time that we're building something else? Like some new courts instead of just like repairing the ones we have. So, yeah. So that's one part. Something else. Yeah, the wall is very important for tennis players that are starting to learn, not only for people that don't have friends. As a kid and even as a teenager, when I was like learning how to hit the forehand, the backhand, I spent hours and hours and hours in front of a wall. I don't do that so much these days, but our kids, if they want to learn to play tennis, I recommend that they spend a lot of time in front of the wall. So I would like to keep a wall. I saw that it doesn't fit very well. So maybe if we can like put a wall a few meters, feet to the right from in that picture. The fence, yeah, it doesn't need to be like the tennis court, like maybe 4 or 5 feet is enough, a little bit higher than the skate park. But then putting a key doesn't make much sense because like jumping the fence for the tennis court is a real challenge, but jumping a 5-foot fence is not a challenge for most people. So putting a key there doesn't make any sense. Something that I want to propose. I mean, I discussed with a neighbor that is concerned about the amount of noise that this will make. I mean, the noise still is already there because pickleball is being played in the tennis court. So the noise is already there. But my neighbor is afraid that if some courts are built for pickleball, then there will be pickleball there and also maybe still in the tennis court. So it will be a lot more pickleball noise. And this has been a big issue already in San Francisco and many places. So I'm just thinking maybe if an enforcement of low noise level pickleballs can be implemented.
You have 3 minutes since it's expired.
Sorry?
Your 3 minutes is up.
Sure. That was my
Do you have
last
any more
thing.
comments to wrap up?
That was all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have raised hands?
We have raised hands and emailed public comments, but some, at least one of the raised hands is from someone who commented by email that was received after the meeting had started. So I will call on the raised hands first and then read email public comments after. The first one is a phone caller without a name, so I will just unmute the attendee. Hello, can you hear me? This is for someone calling in on a 415 number?
Yes,
Oh,
I've
hello.
lived in Corte Madera. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've lived in Corte Madera my whole life, and in the last few years, the incidents of noise pollution, theft, robbery, car stealing, trash vandalism, firecrackers being lit. I just can't believe that the pickleball court is being proposed when there's so much money that needs to go to important things. It's absolutely unconscionable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I'll reset the timer. And the next attendee I will unmute is Doug Levy. Doug, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. I submitted a written comment as well, so I don't want to duplicate that. I do want to just comment a little bit more on what I've heard during the presentation. I'm Doug Levy. I have lived down the block from Town Park for almost 20 years, and I'm kind of concerned because I first heard of this proposal earlier today, and I consider myself a fairly well-informed member of the community. I realize that, you know, you've, I'm sure, fulfilled all the legal requirements to put notices out, but I've gotten mailed direct notices from the town for so many things of far less importance. This is an important decision, and I think it's very important for the commission to make sure that residents who are directly affected by the proposal are involved in the planning in a more direct way. The project has the potential to have a big impact on the quality of life for those of us who are property owners and residents in the neighborhood. I literally hear just about everything that happens in the park from my living room. Joyful sounds are fine, but let's spread that joy around. It shouldn't all be for the folks that live close to Pixley. Thank you for considering my comments, and I hope that you'll go slower and consider all of our interests before proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, I'm not seeing any additional raised hands. So let me return to the emails and see if there are any additional email to public comments. And there's one additional email to public comment from JB, who says, good afternoon. I'm writing about the agenda item on tonight's January 22nd, 2024 meeting regarding the conceptual. Oh, wait, I need to restart the timer. Sorry. Okay. Regarding the conceptual plan for the proposed dedicated pickleball courts in Town Park. Looking over the design rendering that is posted in the agenda item, it appears the sidewalk and ingress in that area around the skate park would be blocked or removed. This would really impede pedestrian use walking through that area. 2, the current tennis courts are loud even without pickleball. However, the pickleballers have upped the noise and are often on the courts most mornings in nicer weather by 7:15 a.m., often being incredibly loud, at times swearing as they play and bringing amplified stereos and dogs onto the courts, just as some of the tennis players do. 3, there seems to be issues merely enforcing current park rules, e.g. dogs. Off-leash dogs are rampant in the park, people playing tennis or pickleball early in the morning or late into the evening. In the summer, folks bring amplified music and speakers to the picnic areas, and the music sometimes goes to 10 p.m., if not later, leaving trash and glass bottles behind. That is a considerable amount of noise pointed directly at homeowners across the street. 4, the parking lot is already small, and to add additional traffic and parking demands and the noise next to the already loud skate park area early morning and late into the evening seems to be tone deaf to owners and renters that live in the condos on Pixley across the street. In the summer and over winter break, there have been kids setting off rocket fireworks from the skate park area in the evenings. What will happen on pickleball courts? Your own park rules aren't able to be enforced because, unfortunately, so many in the community who use the park don't care to follow the posted rules. In addition, you are looking at expanding the skate park. Why not move everything to the side of the dog park area and towards the basketball courts to mitigate the impact on homeowners and renters alike on Pixley Avenue, or consider building off of the side or back of the existing tennis courts facing the school? This project is being quietly fast-tracked. Is this project being quietly fast-tracked? Several of us are unclear how you are not required to do any environmental impact study according to your staff report, considering the condo owners and renters alike live all around the immediate area on Pixley Avenue. We hope you will take our concerns under advisement. Best regards, Pixley Avenue resident. And as these emails were received after the meeting had started, I will forward these to the commission and also have them moved on the agenda for the public to view as well.
At this time, we can close public comment, bring it back to the commission for discussion. It does sound like we may need more notice than we have put out to the community.
I'm actually just interested in maybe you had started to give an update on that and
So when we looked at the discussion of pickleball courts at Town Park, it had been a long session of the master plan process. We did not specifically notify the residents in that area. We went through our usual posting for social media, newsletter, Facebook, Nextdoor, that kind of stuff. So when we discussed it, we did not notify the residents of that neighborhood. It had been a discussion as the pickleball court is for 2 years now, the highest priority in Town Park since the master plan process began. And that's why that was the direction we were kind of given.
And it was discussed publicly 6 weeks ago at our last meeting.
Yeah, it was discussed at the December meeting. We talked about it.
Yeah, but look, this is the first time we've talked about this. No, it was discussed.
It was all-
We didn't have drawings by time, but we could.
It was always adjacent to the ball wall or the skate park. That was the location that we talked about at the December meeting, correct?
And how was that discussion 6 weeks ago noticed? It was just, was a discussion of the master?
Like every other commission meeting is noticed, yes.
No, I meant that particular, was it agendized, that particular? I know we talked about it, I remember that, but I'm just wondering how.
It was agendized as, it was part of the process of the bringing of projects to the council. So it was a two-part of that staff.
And
I
was it,
actually have that open right
Yeah,
now
thanks.
because I was looking at the same. It was update to commission on Parks and Recreation Facilities Master Plan process through which potential projects will be identified, reviewed, and elevated out of the master plan, and request for support for a potential standalone pickleball court project in Town Park utilizing funding allocated in fiscal year 23-24 for parks related actions.
So this is the second time it's been on our agenda.
thanks.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't, I couldn't remember if we, I mean, we talked about it, but if it was on the agenda, it's just like, oh, master plan in general, or if it's called out.
It was.
If I could add a couple responses to some of the questions. So the project will need to comply with CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, and so that process still needs to happen. So we would make sure that we're in full compliance. Another note is, the pickleball courts aren't scoped for lighting, so that does limit, some of the hours of use. Especially in the evening, so that may help some of the comments we heard. And then also I know some of the park rules have been clarified and updated recently, so hopefully that will also have its own improvements on some of the things that we heard today.
You could also consider, I've also seen the speakers at the tennis courts. And that we can potentially, I don't know if that falls into we had the 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
No amplified music is currently allowed in the park. It needs to just.
So they shouldn't have the speakers anyway. It's not even, got it, okay.
I think the call was talking about the lack of enforcement though, but
Yeah.
I think we've tried to, we've got some new rules clarifying.
And certainly dogs off leash in that space.
Yeah.
That's awful.
One comment was made that I thought was maybe well taken, and I didn't see on the plans, there's gonna be an increase in use here. There's gonna be a little bit of restricted flow. The trash, do we have plans for additional recycling and trash receptors that are gonna be created in conjunction with this new area? If necessary, but that's the only thing I thought I didn't see on there that maybe I wanna look into a little bit more.
We'll look at that and obviously monitor it. If we're seeing litter, then we'll need to put a trash can if we don't have it there from day one.
Thanks.
Somebody made the comment that why does everything have to be put on the side of the park and why can't it just be moved to the other? And when we And we had a lot of discussion over years about the dog park, and the exact same comments were made at that time. And because of that, we chose not to put the dog park on that side of the park, and we put it on the other side. In parts, and, you know, thinking, okay, let's not overload our neighbors on, Pixley. So we have definitely heard that in the past and taken it into consideration. Pickleball is already being played there. So I think that, we're not necessarily adding something that's not already being done. We're just giving them a legitimate space to do it. That's kind of my feeling on it. But if anybody feels like we need to give those neighbors more of a chance to be heard, then we can postpone another month, but I don't know how other people feel about that.
Well, I also know that part of the reason this project is feasible in this budget is because we're already in a concreted area. Is that correct? Or like if we were to start 2 pickleball courts from scratch somewhere on the east field, would we be able to do it for the same budget?
That might be a question engineering can best answer.
Yeah, there is a cost savings. Also, it was in response to some of the feedback we heard in the master plan process about not impacting green space, right? So this is a way to get most of it on an existing hardscape.
And it makes sense for them to be near the other courts, I think. I mean, I think I really appreciate the comments made regarding the tennis courts and that some attention should be given to the tennis court maintenance alongside this project. I'm curious though, what, if any, if we have a plan of how to manage if the pickleball courts are full. Will there be priority to tennis players on the tennis courts? Is there still striped? Will there be nets available or just bring your own net? How? Because, you know, in a lot of public courts, tennis players have been pushed out because of pickleball. And so this, I hope, can accommodate both sets of players. So I'm curious if there, I mean, in terms of signage, just some like additional rules or.
Probably have to bring that to the pickleball rules and tennis rules. There has been definitely people who have put their own lines down on the tennis courts with duct tape, whatever else, and it is a problem. Because we have to go and then the bar instructor puts down chalk so it washes away, but there are people who have been putting down whatever because they want more courts to play on. So I think we'd have to come back with the rules of who gets what when. I mean, the pickleball's first and tennis, I think that's gonna have to be something with the Merit Commission for approval to update signage.
Are there things we can do to mitigate sound?
There are certain paddles that are quieter. I know that. I was just sitting here thinking, could we do anything with vegetation planting on the Pixley side to make it a thicker wall of shrubbery, because that can do a lot with sound. The south side is pretty thickly planted. Those are the trees and bushes we were talking about.
Or even on the tennis court where people are still gonna be playing pickleball, if we can make that quieter.
There are paddles that are quieter and private clubs can mandate that. And they can force that. Public courts, you can't. There are some clubs that actually on the fence have a certain padding that mitigates the sound. Jerome Peninsula Club did that and it's very effective. I don't know what the cost is, might be worth, looking into, if it's kind of an issue. I mean, my whole feeling on this is that what I hope it happens is that more pickleball is played on those courts, which is further away from Pixley, with trees surrounding it. I'm hoping that it's an improvement as opposed to a detriment.
I agree. But is that something we can ask RJ and Dimitri to look into? Just what could we do within our budget that would help to
Noise mitigation.
Yeah, we can look into that. I think I do want to make one point is I know over the years enforcement has appreciated sight lines to the skate park. So we would have to come up with something such as some of the examples that you're bringing up about, some sort of blanket or thing that goes on the fence. To just
So
kind of,
padding the fence versus vegetation because law enforcement wants a sightline from the parking lot to the skate park?
they have made comments that it does help them enforce when they have sightlines to the skate park.
I think that
and I
we
think
as a
that-
community would want those
Yeah.
sightlines too. I mean, imagine a big black.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, we like the open, well, I think that. No, I like the plain vegetation.
Mhm.
But yeah, we can come up with some options for further discussion.
There's a surface that's quieter. You'll know better than us, but.
It's mostly the sound of the balls on the paddle.
It's not the clinking. And then we've got to keep an eye on if this does increase the number. I mean, it could potentially, we'd have, 8 more people playing pickleball. Is that 8 more cars? 8 more parking spaces. I'm sure of that. That's something you should watch. Shortage of parking around the park in general. More people use it. Yay. So now we need a motion.
Is this just feedback or what do you need? Well, you can just ask us for feedback.
Discuss and provide feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do need a motion to move forward, but staff will engage with the community and undertake the environmental process that RJ discussed. And yes, we can work with the surrounding community to talk about noise and concerns.
And rules, and that's gonna be.
And
big on
rules.
rules.
Yeah, rules.
I mean, I'm just thinking, so with the restroom project, we set up a nice little block there with a little big notification saying, hey, this is coming. At what point in the process would that take place? And is that a good way of getting outreach to the local Pixley residents?
Well, I think with the bathroom, we had several locations, so we did that, we were talking about 6 locations at the time for the bathroom. This is pretty much this location is gonna go here.
Right.
I mean, like I said, for the reasons it's gonna be less green space taken away, there's already cement there, that's why this kind of identification, the place was identified.
I'm just thinking in a way of communicating the intention to the, Pixley residents. I mean, what are the options? We go door to door, we do a mailer, we put up something that people walk by and see. I mean, we've kind of exhausted social media. We've done Nextdoor, Instagram, Facebook, we've done our newsletter. We've gone through the usual motions. Clearly, it's, not quite enough. I just don't know what other options there may be that would appease the residents of Pixley to get the word out.
Well, signboards and a community workshop.
I mean, in terms of process, there's really not a set process. It kind of depends on what it is that you're trying to improve, right? When we were doing the town park restroom, it's a structure. So, you kind of start to feel like, it actually went to planning commission. And so as part of that, you're doing a location, and we even did kind of that rendering to kind of mimic, a planning process. And other things that I guess require or are unclear what the community desires, require more vetting. I think we took the master plan survey was pretty robust, and the confidence was overwhelming that this had a lot of support. But we're happy to, look into the comments provided tonight, and also, see what could be done in terms of mitigating for sound. So I think we'll just have to see what opportunities there are and kind of get back with, potentially council or this commission.
So that being said, the commission should discuss and take a vote on whether you're comfortable moving forward with this project at this time.
Whether we want to slow it down for more community engagement. Do we have just specific notices for the Skylot Foundation? I know they ran some community events, but did we reach out to the Pixie neighborhood specifically as part of that?
There were signboards posted on the street. A-frames
For them to communicate, okay.
with the QR code.
Okay,
For this-
for the neighborhood or just in the park?
Both.
What do you guys think? Are we ready to move forward? You want to get more community engagement?
Well, our options are move forward with the project where it is, or don't do the project. Really?
And you can direct staff to engage in community outreach.
Engage in community outreach,
And then come back.
get
Yes,
that
what
feedback.
would we, if
But
we,
what you're
to
saying is
what,
what would
What will it
change?
to
change?
what ends, right? I guess that's where I am, to what end, right, like we.
And I think it's important to remember, this has been discussed for,
And it has gone before council and council approved.
so that
This is not conceptual
Ah,
as
yeah.
well, but the Parks and Rec Commission tonight was looking at the conceptual plans.
So, you know, even if you guys say, I mean, you can say we're supportive of the project, but we want you to mitigate it with respect to the comments provided tonight. We're not, just because you were to recommend it, we wouldn't just, you know, take a construction equipment out there without, you know, some dialogue.
that seems like they're reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm comfortable making the motion. I think it's been properly noticed. I would very much like staff to look at the impact of trash, noise mitigation, appropriate signages and rules and things like that to address the neighborhood. And then I would move that it go forward pursuant to those directions.
Do we have a second? I second. Becca, can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Elson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenneth,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Rose,
Yes.
Vice Chair Charlie,
Yes.
and Chair Miles.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
5G, Tim.
Thank you, RJ and Dimitri.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Dimitri. Thanks, guys.
Last but not least, kind of looking at proposed 2024 meeting dates. Obviously, we meet on the fourth Monday of each month. Occasional holidays and conflicts, we review kind of the 2024 calendar. Looking at the calendar ahead, there are no direct town holidays that directly conflict with the proposed 2024 meeting dates. One potential conflict is Monday, April 22nd, sorry. As Passover is observed from sunset on the 22nd through nightfall on the 30th. Commission meetings generally begin after nightfall, and some families observe the holiday may have scheduled celebrations for that evening. Right now, our only recommendation is, as we've done in the past, to cancel that November 25th meeting as it's very close to Thanksgiving. The December 23rd meeting, and schedule a special meeting on Monday, December 2nd. That is the second attachment is the proposed meeting dates. Just for discussion of what we want to do, or any changes to the dates, or the discussion of the Passover on the 22nd.
Sorry, on attachment 1, I see there's a December 2nd and a December 4th proposal, and then I didn't hear what you said. Which one are we recommending? The second
It's
is
just like a
about-
typo, I think.
Yeah, I figured that, but which is it? I didn't hear, is it the second or the fourth?
It was the second.
Okay.
Yeah, December 4th was this year.
Got it, thanks.
So the question on the table is
in the
moving
body.
April 22nd date. Would we move the Monday prior,
Is there a conflict with that? Is there somebody else meeting that Monday?
the 15th?
Which Monday?
So
I would, the 15th is the tail end of spring break.
Spring break is what, the
That's the
8th to
second
the-
weekend of spring break.
yeah, so it'd be the Monday after spring break. Or the 17th of April.
That is that's.
That's, so,
yeah.
Spring
The
break is the 8th.
17th is a standing meeting of the Climate Action Committee.
okay.
Tuesday, the 16th.
That would be a council meeting.
So
Mhm.
Thursday, the 18th.
Thursday, May.
I don't plan that far in advance. I have nothing.
Let me just look at. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to discuss meeting date.
I'm sorry.
We're not.
And we don't have to land that today. We can come back to, let's come up with a new date for April the 22nd. We can talk about that in February. Is there anything else on the calendar? I don't want, not that I want us to be so long or anything, just.
Do you need them to recommend a date right now or just looking to propose
For April?
for April?
So we can highlight it for something that we would need to.
Would you like a
Actually,
motion?
I don't think anything meets on Thursdays as far as I know. BPAC and Flood Board meet on alternate Mondays, meet on alternate months on the second Monday. I believe. So I believe Thursday should be open.
That would be planning on that day if there are obviously no agenda.
If Thursday works. For you.
I'm not seeing anybody complaining yet, so.
It appears that that is a good date.
So you're moving 22nd to 25th,
To the 18th. To the Thursday before.
or the Thursday before?
I would just have to check to see if there's any other outside agencies that use this chambers. But for now, I think it might be okay.
Alternatively, is there worth discussing who would not be present on the 22nd?
I think it's about that the public can participate, not us.
Well, we just need to make sure we can have a quorum.
Right.
I think we earmark that. I mean, makes sense. We can get a date on the calendar. And then Passover doesn't start until the 25th this year, so December 2nd doesn't conflict with that. Because in the past, that's been an
Yes.
issue. Hanukkah, sorry.
That was the only one we saw that was a discussion.
Thanks for doing that.
All right, staff and commissioner updates. You have more, Charleston?
No, I think I just will say appreciate the long discussion and the good discussion on the topics, but I don't have anything else to say.
Right. I was responsible for the December meetings. So I have 4 updates. One, there was a lot of conversations around the parklets and parklet ordinance. Town council is in support of parklets and has made a lot of changes and updates to that to really make sure that our small businesses can continue to have their outdoor spaces. They discussed the code related to bikes and kind of our recommendation on bikes must stay on paths. There was some comment back that we should be thinking about bike stands, making sure that, and they like the idea of speed limits, but kind of we'll leave it up to us. They reviewed the Parks and Rec fee schedule, and kind of, can we be giving more money as people rent something? Can they add throw a little extra towards helping other people as kind of like the scholarships and programming was a suggestion from one of the council members. And there's been a change of relationship between the town council member who is responsible for staying connected with Parks and Rec. So it was Fred Casisa, is now Pat Ravasio. That is the big change there. I would recommend that when we do February, the person responsible for January and the person responsible for February both present, because town council meetings, by the time we meet for that month, will both have happened already. Does that make sense? Yeah, so Goodman and Rose.
Yeah.
We'll both talk to
At the next meeting.
at the next meeting, and then we'll kind of be on schedule. We'll be talking about stuff that's a little bit more recent. The Executive Advisory Committee did not meet. Do we have any individual commissioner updates?
Nope.
Regina.
Sorry.
Are there any topics the commissioners would like to put on future agenda items? If there's nothing else, we'll close this meeting. Thank you so much for your attendance and participation.